American Comics. Bug Arkham, Patient Batman. Chapter 61. Generally speaking, an evil spirit could easily devour the souls and consciousness of any mental patient it encountered. But unfortunately, Lan Chi was an exception. Just like now, the mother evil spirit was being wantonly kneaded and played with by him, up, down, left, and right. Of course, it wasn't anything inappropriate for children, nor was there any Ghost Rider situation occurring. The mother evil spirit transformed into various appearances with a shy expression: a nun, a teacher, a flight attendant. And Lan Chi, like a pervert, sat on the metal floor, eyes wide, clapping and cheering. Slurp. This is good, make it a bit wider and a bit bigger on this basis. The evil spirit felt somewhat tired, somewhat weak. It was the first time she had ever experienced such a feeling. Becoming weak inside a person's body, as if her body had been hollowed out. She was almost drained and played to ruin by this mental patient. This was the first time she had encountered such a situation. Shit. Taking my first time, you can be considered capable. Can you let me go now? The evil spirit had a fierce and malevolent expression, her face full of resentment, like a bullied young wife. However, Lan Chi felt nothing about taking the mother evil spirit's first time. I don't know how to get you out either, otherwise wouldn't I have been fine long ago. If he knew how to expel the evil spirit, would he still be playing dress-up games with her here? What? You ask why not firmly subdue the evil spirit? Superficial. An evil spirit is an evil spirit, a person is a person. According to the laws of nature, an evil spirit should an evil spirit, and a person should a person. This is an unchangeable law through the ages. Of course, some perverts are an exception. Such as some grassroots heroes, evil spirit riders, immortal sirs, Indian crested lizards, and so on. Although Lan Chi was a mental patient, he wasn't interested in evil spirits, much less wanted to them. He, Lan Chi, only wanted to people, not ghosts, including all sorts of other messy things. But the evil spirit didn't think so. She tried to use her spiritual body to break through Lan Chi's physical restraints. However, she felt as if this place was a giant cage, trapping her tightly inside, with no hope of getting out at all. It must be your doing, you guy. No matter what great god you are. The evil spirit roared, her voice becoming sharper and more piercing, even her face showing a fierce and malevolent expression. As if she was about to stretch out her hands and strangle Lan Chi immediately. However, please let me out, okay? I'm just a tiny evil spirit, I've only killed a dozen people in total, I've never committed any heinous acts, please. The mother evil spirit instantly knelt on the ground, transforming into a pitiful, romantic woman in a nurse's uniform, pulling Lan Chi's hand and cooing. At the same time, she continuously rubbed Lan Chi's arm with her assets. Her cutesy voice almost melted one's heart. A normal person seeing this scene would surely soften, or at the very least, they would bring this evil spirit to justice on the spot, and then some indescribable things would happen. But unfortunately, Lan Chi was not normal. Feeling the soft touch on his arm, and squinting with pleasure, he replied with a serious expression. It's no use begging me, I don't know how to let you out. You came in by yourself, can't you go out by yourself? The evil spirit, still cooing, was suddenly stunned, seemingly not expecting Lan Chi to answer like that. After a second or two of silence, her face suddenly became ferocious and terrifying, and sharp talons, glowing faintly, violently stabbed towards Lan Chi. PFF'd. Shit. Am I that fun to play with? What kind of skill is it to bully an evil spirit like me? If you're so capable, go bully a demon, bully a great demon. Lan Chi's body continued to gush blood, but since he felt nothing, he didn't need to worry about it. It's just, how exactly should he get out of this place? He still needed to help his fellow patients. Annoying evil spirit. Just as Lan Chi and the mother evil spirit were struggling. Watching Lan Chi stand motionless, his skin even starting to blacken, Silent Bat's face was so gloomy it looked like water could drip from it. A dangerous glint appeared in his eyes, and he turned to question Constantine. What exactly was that thing just now? Are you conducting insane experiments here? Or are you the culprits behind these murders? A strong killing intent suddenly spread, and a powerful oppressive sensation, like a tangible force, washed over them. The air instantly became heavy, causing Chaz, next to Constantine, to shiver uncontrollably. Shit. It's not my business. Chaz said in a low voice, I'm just a taxi driver, and a lookout. I don't care about that, help me fix him. Silent Bat's deep voice suppressed anger as he pointed at Lan Chi, who stood still, stunned. I'm an exorcist, of course I'll help him. Constantine cursed, then turned to instruct Chaz. Bring me the holy water. He quickly walked in front of Lan Chi, originally wanting to tear off his clothes, but Lan Chi wasn't wearing ordinary clothes. How do you take this thing off? He pointed at the automatic steel armor on Lan Chi's body, asking somewhat disheveled. Isn't this a classic exorcism scene? How did high-tech power armor show up? Tai Chi stood aside, and he and Silent Bat quickly removed the automatic power armor from Lan Chi's body. This thing is so heavy, it's exhausting to hold. I'd rather wear it, Lan Chi probably won't mind. Tai Chi held the power armor in both hands, a happy smile on his face. Lan Chi already had a black Batman armor, he probably wouldn't mind if he wore this power armor now. Help me hold him down, I'm going to start the exorcism. Constantine took the water bottle Chaz handed him, and immediately ripped open Lan Chi's Arkham Asylum patient gown. However, before he could sprinkle holy water or chant a spell to prepare the exorcism ritual, Lan Chi suddenly opened his eyes, his bloodshot eyes looking extremely eerie. Seeing his fellow patient wake up, Tai Chi paused in his movements while wearing the power armor. Lan Chi, you're awake. Silent Bat also breathed a sigh of relief when he saw this scene. He didn't know why he cared so much about Lan Chi, perhaps because the other person could summon his parents. But since he was fine, that was for the best. However, he's not your companion, he's an evil spirit. Looking at Lan Chi, whose eyes were red and face was ferocious, Constantine had a faint ominous premonition. In a brief moment, countless dark, twisted patterns appeared on Lan Chi's face, and blue veins were exposed, looking extremely distorted and ferocious. Constantine immediately opened the water bottle containing holy water, his expression solemn, and was about to recite the exorcism spell to expel this evil spirit. However, quick, save me, exorcist. The evil spirit's voice was filled with fear. Please. Quick, save me. It wasn't like the provocations he'd seen when encountering evil spirit possession before, nor was it curses, much less mockery. It was a plea for help. What the hell? An evil spirit actually asking an exorcist for help. Is this reasonable? Even Constantine, a master of magic who had mastered various magical schools and exorcism spells, and had defeated countless demons and evil spirits, was momentarily astonished. Something's wrong, it's 12% more than just wrong. Why do I feel like the guy who just entered Lan Chi's body is begging for mercy? Tai Chi scratched his head, unsure if it was his imagination or something else. I have that feeling too, Chaz said from the side. Although Silent Bat, who was standing, didn't speak, he recalled some things Lan Chi had done before. Perhaps, this evil spirit had already been dealt with by Lan Chi's mental illness, who knows? But the professional exorcist, who had dealt with evil creatures and hellish evil spirits countless times, did not believe it. This must be the evil spirit's conspiracy. Constantine stated with certainty. Evil spirits, devils, and demons are often cunning and insidious, not a single word they say can be believed, otherwise it could very likely cause a huge disaster. This was the experience he had summarized from his many years of exorcism, and it was also the key to his ability to deal with demons and angels. But, cunning my ass, what I'm saying is true. Hurry up and save me, I beg you, exorcist daddy. The evil spirit's voice was filled with humiliation, terror, and impotent rage, like a panicked girl who discovered her boyfriend was gay and was thus forced into a four-eye situation. You even said, Daddy, just to beg for mercy. Constantine narrowed his eyes. He felt nothing about being called, Daddy, by an evil spirit, especially a female evil spirit. Instead, a murderous intent surged in his heart, wishing he could immediately send this evil spirit back to hell or make her soul scatter. After all, the evil spirits he had encountered before had some bottom line, even if he beat them severely, they were merely impotently enraged. But the evil spirit possessing this lunatic in front of him was different. You evil spirit are too spineless, I despise you. After speaking, Constantine gave the evil spirit a look of disdain. Then he sprinkled holy water on Lan Chi, and immediately a thick white smoke emerged. Following that, he began to chant an exorcism spell, his face solemn, his voice loud. The evil spirit looked at this scene, her heart filled with despair. In front was a stupid exorcist with a dysfunctional brain, and behind was an abnormal lunatic suffering from mental illness. Shit. Why is her evil spirit's life so bitter? Is an evil spirit's life not a life? Or is it because she is not black? Just as Constantine was continuously chanting the spell, thick black smoke began to emerge from Lan Chi's body. Generally speaking, in such a situation, evil spirits would let out piercing screams, or even curse the exorcist, greeting his ancestors and future children. But this mother evil spirit no longer had the strength to curse, nor could she even escape from Lan Chi's body. So, after only a few minutes, the changes in Lan Chi's pupils and body quickly disappeared. He suddenly opened his eyes and saw a solemn-looking guy wearing a beige trench coat, holding a water bottle, and muttering to him. Huh. Why does it feel a bit chilly? He looked down and found himself standing there shirtless. Combined with the strange behavior of the person in front of him, his face suddenly changed. Could it be that some fooled priest took a fancy to his pure and flawless body? Seeing Lan Chi wake up, Constantine also slowly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this guy was fine after being possessed by the evil spirit. He stopped, showed a smile, and was about to speak to Lan Chi. A powerful, deep male voice sounded out of thin air. Man. Then, he felt his chest suffer a heavy elbow strike. The intense pain stunned Constantine for a moment, and then he clutched his chest, grimacing, rubbing his chest with both hands, constantly alleviating the pain. Shit. I'd rather die than give my precious, pure, fooled virginity to a perverted priest like you. Lan Chi roared, his face full of anger. He originally thought that after being possessed by the evil spirit, Silent Bat would find a way to save him, but he never expected to be targeted by such a fooled priest. Priests and little boys, he didn't want that. Chaz had originally thought that the victim of the exorcism would thank Constantine, as normal people would do. But he never expected the victim to directly give the exorcist a heavy elbow strike. Constantine. How are you? Your action caused Gwendolyn Parker and John Constantine's emotions to fluctuate violently, gaining 20 emotion points. Who is this Gwendolyn? That evil spirit just now. Lan Chi scratched his head in confusion, feeling like his head was full of question marks, almost writing, why, all over his face. Why was there another bug on the light screen? What was going on? He still couldn't understand why the evil spirit came in but couldn't get out, and even said that he wouldn't let the evil spirit leave. Wait, why did he feel like his mental illness had become even more pronounced? Lan Chi kept shaking his head, to the point that a normal person would feel dizzy, but in his eyes, there was no problem at all. Lan Chi, are you having an episode again? Tai Chi asked, patting Lan Chi's shoulder. No, I just feel like my illness seems to have gotten worse. Lan Chi's face was a bit dejected, with no desire for worldly things. Perhaps he should also masturbate and test if his limits had become stronger. Perhaps he hadn't become more mentally stable after all. Oh, then I'm wearing your power armor, is that okay? Tai Chi asked tentatively. Lan Chi looked at his bare upper body, then at the power armor Tai Chi was wearing. The metal power armor enveloped Tai Chi's body, like an airtight suit of armor embedded on his body and arms. Shit. I was wondering why it was so cold, so you guys stripped off my power armor and clothes. Now take them off immediately. Lan Chi grabbed Tai Chi's neck and shook him continuously. Are you alright? Silent Bat asked. I'm fine, except my illness has gotten worse and I'm more mentally active. That's good then. Silent Bat nodded, and the big stone hanging in his heart also fell. Lan Chi stripped the power armor off Tai Chi and tried to put it on himself. Hiss. I have no clothes on, wearing this thing is too cold. He threw the power armor to Tai Chi with a look of disgust. You take it, I have some clothes I can wear. How can there be no trace of the evil spirit left? Constantine frowned and kept looking around, but he couldn't find any trace of the evil spirit being expelled. Maybe you sent her back to hell. Chaz guessed from the side. Impossible, I only used an expulsion spell, I didn't send this thing back to hell. Constantine shook his head repeatedly. And that evil spirit didn't scream at all just now, she must have a bigger conspiracy. This time, 3 murders have been committed, who knows how much harm will be caused in the future. Perhaps she also. Constantine was still guessing how many people the evil spirit would kill next when he saw Lan Chi burp, and the smoke he exhaled clearly contained the black chi of the evil spirit from before. Constantine. He couldn't help but swallow, staring intently at Lan Chi. Combined with the evil spirit calling him, Daddy, just now, asking him to expel her. A terrible suspicion vaguely formed in his mind. Perhaps this evil spirit was not expelled by him at all. Are you here to exorcise an evil spirit? Silent Bat suddenly asked Constantine. He had just gotten this information from the other party's words. He thought of a possibility. Perhaps the 3 strange cases Commissioner Gordon handed to him were all committed by that fooled evil spirit just now. Yes, that evil spirit killed many people. I happened to be nearby and saw something amiss, so I came in to exorcise. So that's how it is. Silent Bat nodded, quite satisfied with the first case he had investigated. He didn't expect Gotham to have such things as evil spirits. Wait, would his Gotham also have such things? He suddenly remembered the parents Lan Chi summoned. But on closer inspection, the appearance of the parents was completely different from that of the evil spirit just now. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, the 3 lunatics watched Constantine and Chaz get into a taxi and leave. So what do we do next? Tai Chi held Scarecrow's fear gas, his face full of confusion. The original plan was disrupted due to encountering Constantine and the evil spirit, leaving him completely at a loss as to what to do, and his head felt a bit sharp. Lan Chi also felt a headache. With this incident, the whole plan was messed up. Initially, he wanted Silent Bat to encounter some setbacks while investigating cases, then use Scarecrow's fear gas to paralyze him. Finally, he would summon the Wayne couple to help Silent Bat masturbate on top of Wayne Tower, and record it to make thousands of copies to spread to everyone in Gotham. After all, fighting fire with fire was the best way to treat mental illness. Haven't you seen how 2 negatives make a positive, or how an elderly person with Alzheimer's forgets they have Alzheimer's and then gets better? Using a huge mental blow to treat Silent Bat would definitely cure him. It was just a pity that the plan was completely messed up now. Boom. However, at this moment, a loud bang suddenly came from afar. Silent Bat was stunned for a moment, then turned his head to look in that direction. Lan Chi seized this opportunity, snatched the fear gas from Tai Chi's hand, opened the bottle, and, while Silent Bat wasn't paying attention, poured it directly into his nostrils. Forget it, just use it. Jason, and Alfred, why did you blow up Arkham Asylum? Batman, who had just been rescued, looked at the burning walls and collapsed buildings around him, his face a little grim. Although he was almost strong-armed by those mentally ill criminals, he fortunately managed to escape thanks to his wisdom and extraordinary abilities. But it must be said, this kind of thing really made him feel disgusted. Just a little bit more, and Batman Bruce Wayne's chastity would have been taken by this group of big gay men. Robin looked at the rambling Batman speechlessly, then turned to look at Alfred beside him. You see, he's beyond saving. He's completely immersed in the game of superheroes catching supervillains. He shook his head helplessly. Master Bruce will get better. Alfred sighed and led the newly rescued Batman back to the Batwing. Robin also leapt up, climbing the rope. Alfred offered Batman a sip of coffee, then asked, feeling better now, Wayne Master? Oh, I feel a bit better than before. Batman shook his head, recalling what had happened earlier. Those durians, those muscular strong men. Too dangerous. Of course, there were also those 3 guys from the parallel world. Thinking of this, Batman couldn't help but frown, and he said in a deep voice. That me from the parallel world is very dangerous. I saw madness in his eyes, he is even crazier than Joker. Don't worry, I've already hired a few mercenaries to tie him up, and in just a day or 2, they haven't had time to cause any trouble, Alfred replied. The explosion at Arkham Asylum just now, Batman was somewhat surprised by the explosion that had just occurred. That was caused by Joker. Commissioner Gordon found him in an alley in the East End, and then he was sent to Arkham Asylum, Robin explained. Of course, that guy has escaped again. Jeremiah, the director of Arkham Asylum, is planning to strengthen Arkham Asylum's defenses to prevent these mentally ill patients from escaping. Batman looked at Jason, who was covered in bandages, his face full of guilt and heartache. Jason, I regret letting you do this job directly. You are too young. I thought you had already been killed by Joker. If I really was killed by Joker, would you avenge me and kill Joker? Jason suddenly asked. Yes. Batman looked at him deeply, only uttering that one word. But this answer had already exceeded Jason's expectations. Although he tried to feign the same calm expression as his adoptive father, the slight curve of the young man's lips still couldn't deceive anyone. After all, he's just a young man, he hasn't experienced enough yet. Batman sighed inwardly. His mind couldn't help but recall the first time he met Jason a few years ago. The disheveled child held a crowbar in his hand, and in Crime Alley, he removed the tire from Batman's Batmobile. And at that time, the first Robin, Dick Grayson, had just retired and become Nightwing. So from that day on, the orphaned Jason emerged from the problem children's boarding school in Crime Alley, followed Batman, and became Robin. Perhaps it would be a good choice to have Jason continue his studies with funding from Wayne Group, and study hard. In short, he couldn't drag this child into such a dangerous situation again. Batman felt that he must be responsible for Jason's safety. He couldn't harm this child because of his own selfishness. There's nothing wrong with being alone. From the first year he became Batman, he had always been alone. Now, it was just returning to the original situation. Jason didn't know Batman's thoughts, only immersed in the answer he had just received. This was one of the best 2 days of his life. One was today, and the other was the day he became Robin. The long night was dark. On the other side, Silent Bat was instantly overwhelmed by fear hallucinations after Lan Chi's sneak attack with fear gas, which was against martial ethics. Lan Chi, you used it on him. Tai Chi saw Lan Chi take down Silent Bat in a blink of an eye. He gave a thumbs up, as expected of Lan Chi, so efficient. That's right, I had to use fear gas on him first, Lan Chi replied. I originally thought he would back down if he encountered other situations while investigating cases with Gordon. After all, this is a parallel world's Gotham, different from ours. But I never expected to encounter this kind of thing tonight. I really couldn't find an opportunity, so I used it on him. He also felt a bit helpless. Why did he have to covet someone else's parallel world Gotham when he had his own Gotham? Is it true that the grass is always greener on the other side, and others are better? However, Lan Chi still leaned towards Silent Bat's mental illness. This way, only the mental illness needed to be treated. Under the dark night sky, piercing police sirens mixed with gunshots came from afar. From the small alley nearby, occasional sobs and gasping cries for help entered the ears of the two mentally ill patients. Help! Can anyone save me? Woo woo woo. Shut up, you fool, wait until I'm done. Listening to the crying and cries for help, Tai Chi was a little moved. Lan Chi, should we? Acting bravely was not his character, but perhaps because Lan Chi was used too much, Tai Chi showed signs of this tendency. Most people, especially normal people living in Gotham City, generally wouldn't go near places where crimes were happening. After all, less trouble is better than more trouble, who would want to meddle? But Lan Chi and Tai Chi were not normal people, they were mentally ill. Although they were carrying Silent Bat, who kept saying, Father, and Mother, how could mentally ill people care so much? As long as the other party was still alive and could open their eyes later, it was fine. The two mentally ill patients, carrying the one still in a fear hallucination, walked into the alley. A few minutes later, the three mentally ill patients walked out of the alley. Of course, Silent Bat's armor had a bullet-induced dent. Bruce Wayne brand shield, everyone who used it says it's good, you deserve to own it. After walking a bit further, they finally didn't see anything that would dirty the mentally ill's eyes. Lan Chi and Tai Chi quickly carried Silent Bat into the building Alfred had bought with money. After putting Silent Bat on the bed, Lan Chi raised his right hand and wiped away non-existent sweat from his forehead. According to the original plan, we should have taken this guy to the top of Wayne Tower, then had his parents help him masturbate, so that all of Gotham would know about this embarrassing incident. But now, I have a better idea. We have to make this guy realize that his Gotham is the best, Tai Chi. Tai Chi nodded. From Silent Bat's mental symptoms, he should have paranoid schizophrenia. Of course, this was what Dr. Harleen said, not what he, a mentally ill person, said. And the explosion just now, what exactly happened needs to be investigated, otherwise what if Harley gets into trouble? She's also our fellow patient. Lan Chi stood by the window, his gaze passing through the transparent glass, looking at the firelight blooming not far outside, his brows slightly furrowed. Tai Chi, Lan Chi, are you lusting after her body? Lan Chi frowned and said earnestly. Why say that? Isn't she Dr. Harleen from a parallel world? As long as she's cured, then we'll have two Dr. Harleens to help us with our treatment. Tai Chi, your thoughts are a bit dirty and unhealthy. It seems that to cure your mental illness, I'll have to give you some ideological education. Tai Chi. Shit. What the fool ideological education, what were you like when you were holding that little girl's hand before? Now it's my thoughts that are dirty and unhealthy. Combining today's events with some things that happened before, Tai Chi felt that Lan Chi was not treating fellow patients equally. As the two were talking, Silent Bat's veins on his forehead bulged, and he was gasping for breath, his tone laced with a hint of fear. Lan Chi, you can't do this. What exactly did Silent Bat see? Tai Chi didn't know, and Lan Chi didn't know either. But what these two mental patients could confirm was that Lan Chi appeared in the other's fear illusion. Tai Chi looked at Lan Chi with a strange expression. How did you appear in his fear illusion? Is it that Bruce is afraid of you? Lan Chi shook his head blankly. You ask me, who should I ask? How would I know what appeared in this guy's fear illusion? This thing is Scarecrow's fear toxin. Didn't he try it on us once before? Then it's probably those things you told him before that he remembered, Tai Chi muttered. Me. Wasn't that what you said, Tai Chi? Lan Chi retorted. At that time, he didn't have such a thought. How could he do something like making his deceased parents watch Silent Bat masturbate publicly on Gotham's main street? It's true that Lan Chi is a mental patient, but he wouldn't stoop so low. Moreover, Silent Bat is his fellow patient, so how could he punch a fellow patient? If anyone were to do it, it would be Batman. It's fine, what's mine is yours. We're brothers, who's who? Then if I go to the Gotham Bank and borrow a few million, can it be put on your head? That's Bruce's family bank, it's his, not mine. In this regard, Tai Chi was still clear-headed. So what are your thoughts on chickens? Is it what I'm thinking? See, doesn't that show that our thoughts are completely different? You're thinking of romance workers, while I'm thinking of something related to basketball. I'm upright, your thoughts are filthy. Lan Chi, like a victorious general, puffed out his chest in a triumphant pose. Your filthy thoughts need a good education. This is clearly the most authentic look of an old Gothamite. Lan Chi, you don't look like an old Gothamite at all, Tai Chi retorted. As an old Gothamite, the true Black Flag, didn't Tai Chi understand the mindset of Gothamites? At these words, Lan Chi was instantly speechless. The two stayed in the room for a while, checked on Silent Bat's condition again, and then lay on the bed. Tai Chi began counting sheep, while Lan Chi began his traditional craft, trying to make himself less sane, and incidentally checking if the evil spirit had made his mental illness worse. The long night stretched on, the captain taking off. As soon as dawn broke, Silent Bat suddenly opened his eyes, a fierce aura even bursting forth from them. It was hard to imagine what terrifying thing he had seen under the erosion of the fear toxin, relying on his willpower. His chest rose and fell violently, trying to calm himself by adjusting his breathing rhythm. Lan Chi and Tai Chi lay beside him. Seeing Silent Bat wake up, they immediately leaned over. You're awake. How do you feel now, Bruce? Lan Chi asked. Do you feel better? Do you want to go back to our Gotham or continue staying in this Gotham? Tai Chi asked from the side. Silent Bat. Waking up to see two mental patients leaning close to you, staring with wide eyes and asking how you feel. He almost thought he'd been gender swapped. I feel alright, and, you're right, our own Gotham also has things that need our attention, he said in a deep voice. See, my treatment worked, didn't it? Lan Chi's face was full of pleasant surprise. Tai Chi stood in the room, also overjoyed and at a loss, looking just like a mental patient. Silent Bat looked at the beaming mental patients, opened his mouth, but said nothing. He really wanted to say that it had nothing to do with the treatment they spoke of. It was purely because yesterday, after seeing Lan Chi possessed by an evil spirit, he thought that his Gotham might also have such things. What if Alfred and Jack were targeted by evil spirits? It absolutely had nothing to do with these two mental patients. But, see, I said it was effective. He was quite ill before, but now I just need to make a slight move, and Bruce's condition improves. Looking at the sincere smiles on the faces of Lan Chi and Tai Chi, the two mental patients, he felt relieved. The corners of his mouth, which had never turned up for many years, now curved into an extremely tiny arc. In the evening, dark clouds hung over Gotham, as if they could thoroughly cleanse this scantily clad fool at any moment. Harley and Killer Rat drove their car and hastily stopped where Lan Chi and the others were. Here, sir, I've returned your car. After saying a word to the bloodied driver in the passenger seat, Harley, gripping her metal baseball bat, a Gatling gun given by Alfred, and an anti-tank rocket launcher, stumbled forward. This Gatling gun is too heavy. Killer Rat, help me carry it. Killer Rat didn't hesitate. He picked up Harley Quinn and ran up. He had completely turned into the shape of a roasted skewer and didn't care about robbing anything at all. Whoever gave him delicious food, he would work for them. It could be said that Waylon Jones was Gotham's easiest villain to trick, oh no, to fool. Unlike other villains who needed to prove their existence through crime. To prove the meaning that, it only takes one bad day to completely destroy a person and drive them to madness. Or the extreme madness that erupts after being brutally ravaged by life, committing crimes for the sake of crime. The Killer Croc just needed to eat his fill, drink his fill, and enjoy a good life. Batman was rescued, and Joker took the opportunity to blow up Arkham Asylum. I fired a few shots at him, but I couldn't find the guy's body, Harley Quinn pouted, full of complaints. But there's also good news. Those mercenaries who attacked you were hired by Robin, Batman's assistant. That's not really good news, is it? Lan Chi's mouth twitched slightly. Arkham Asylum was truly ill-fated. Their Arkham Asylum was attacked by thugs every now and then, and it was the same in this parallel world, being blown up every 10 days or half a month. This was truly too tragic. Now that old Bat has been rescued, and we've discovered that those mercenaries were hired by Robin to attack you, should we retaliate? Let's blow up this entire Gotham. Just thinking about causing a big commotion in Gotham again, Harley Quinn couldn't help but hum lightly. This feeling, like a surging tide, made her almost ecstatic. However, hee. Little Harley, where are you going? Joker, wearing a purple suit, with a pale face and oily green hair, appeared in the corridor at some unknown time, and beside him was a tattooed man in a white shirt, covered in patterns. Bang! 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 The moment he saw Harley Quinn, Joker showed no old affection, directly raising his hand and pulling the trigger towards her. It is known that the speed of a bullet fired is 200 to 500 meters per second, and the initial muzzle velocity of a bullet from the Glock 17 pistol in Joker's hand is 360 meters per second. Harley Quinn's maximum speed can reach 2 meters per second. If Joker fired 3 shots at Harley Quinn's vital points, how much blood would be lost from Harley Quinn's wounds? The answer is 0. Because, the moment Joker appeared in front of Harley Quinn, Lan Chi instantly put on the Batman armor, blocking in front of his fellow patient. 3 bullets accurately struck him, without causing any ripple. The Batman armor, produced by Wayne Group, crafted by Master Lucius Fox, specially designed for bulletproofing, a must-have for superheroes, it's worth owning. It could be said that if Wayne Group were to sell the Batman armor as a commodity, Joker would certainly buy it at any cost. He might even put on the Batman armor, invite Batman to a party, and then have an intense showdown. But unfortunately, inside the Batman armor right now is Lan Chi, and he naturally couldn't stand by and watch his fellow patient be killed by Joker. Who are you? Joker asked in a panic. I am Batman. Shit. You are Batman. How could you possibly be Batman? Joker simply didn't believe that this guy, who was wearing the Batman armor and looked remarkably similar to Batman, could be his old flame, no, his old rival. Through his investigation, he had already discovered that these guys were all mentally ill patients from parallel worlds. It was impossible for them to be Batman. I know. You must have stolen Batman's armor. Joker's mind raced, and relying on his astonishing intelligence, he deduced a theory. Beside him, tattooed man's gaze passed over Lan Chi and Harley Quinn, settling on Silent Bat behind them. This was his previous mission target, a terrifyingly strong individual. Sour radish fool. Joker, Shouldn't we run? Tattooed man pointed at Silent Bat and whispered to Joker beside him, that guy is even stronger than Batman. Ever since he saw Silent Bat, he felt as if a lion was staring intently at him from the other's eyes. It was chilling and made his skin crawl. Run. How could we run? Joker raised an eyebrow. What? You see so many people and you want to run. The main thing is that guy is too strong. I'm afraid we'll both be brutally raped if he catches us. Tattooed man argued. Alright, then you run. Tattooed man was overjoyed and immediately turned to flee. However, bang! Joker raised his gun and fired at him, the bullet instantly hitting Tattooed man's butt. Shit. Joker, you fool lunatic. Tattooed man clutched his bleeding butt, immediately activating a Tibetan Mastiff to carry him away at a gallop. Everyone looked at his pathetic retreating figure, feeling quite speechless. He has the superpower to animate tattoos, why doesn't he tattoo Batman or Superman? Lan Chi couldn't help but grumble. Who is Superman? Tai Chi asked curiously from beside him. Oh, a mentally deranged person who wears blue tights, works as a reporter when there's nothing to do, and saves planes when there is. Tai Chi imagined a mentally deranged person in blue tights saving a plane. No. This scene was too beautiful, his brain was going to break. It was already evening, and a light rain gradually fell from the dim sky, bringing a hint of sourness and a cold chill. Condensed raindrops fell towards the dark, squat houses below. And on one of those dilapidated, low, old houses. Robin and Batman lay on the eaves, intently watching the scene inside the room below. Are we just going to lurk in the dark like this, old man? Robin couldn't help but ask. I feel like we're a bit like perverted voyeurs. And if we just inform Commissioner Gordon and cooperate, none of those guys will escape. Jason, I originally didn't want you to come out. You've already had most of your bones broken by Joker. Batman looked at his restless adopted son, his voice low. You should go back to the Batcave immediately to recuperate. Leave this kind of thing to me. I'm just afraid you'll get, again, Jason said somewhat aggrievedly. I am Batman. As long as this city hasn't completely improved, nothing will happen to Batman. Jason stared blankly at Batman, then slowly nodded. Alright, but please be careful and watch out. Robin left, somewhat dejected. A graceful, dark figure, like a cat, quietly approached Batman. Is it really appropriate to let this child leave before the operation? A pleasant female voice came from beside him, but Batman didn't make the slightest movement, only concentrating fully on the room, like an old bat lurking in the dark night. He still has very serious injuries that haven't healed, and Jason is too impatient. Batman's low voice echoed in Selina's ear. Aren't you afraid it will discourage him and hurt the child's self-confidence? Many times, life safety is far more important than confidence and self-esteem. After Batman finished speaking, he spread his wings and swept through the air, crashing through the window glass and heavily kicking Joker. What you've done in Gotham during this time is already sinful enough. A low voice echoed in the room as Batman grabbed Joker and punched him hard in the head 3 times. Bang, bang, bang. The immense force directly broke Joker's nose, causing crimson blood to continuously flow out. It's the old bat. Let's take him down. The sudden change immediately sent Harley into that manic, neurotic state. She raised the anti-tank rocket launcher from her back, her expression wild, and a wanton smile spread across her lips. Ha ha ha. Blast you, old bat. She wanted to pull the trigger, but Batman threw a dark batarang that accurately pierced her right palm. Harley Quinn cried out in pain, unable to lift the heavy rocket launcher. After dealing with Joker and Harley Quinn, Batman turned around to look at Lan Chi, Silent Bat, and the others. Catwoman Selina also gracefully slipped in through the window Batman had broken through earlier. You're too fast. Can't you be a gentleman and wait for a lady? Batman, Silent Bat looked at this parallel world's version of himself with a hint of envy. With an assistant and a confidant, compared to himself, the other party was simply too much better. His previous envy and jealousy had turned into pure envy, because he knew that he also had a Gotham, and sooner or later, he would be like Batman. Lan Chi looked at Batman in front and Silent Bat beside him, and couldn't help but curl his lips. Well, 2 orphans gathered together. He just wondered what these 2 guys would react like if they knew that the Batman of the absolute universe still had a mother. When Batman saw the Batman armor on Lan Chi, a momentary look of surprise flashed across his face. When did his Batman armor get out? Your Batman armor caused a fluctuation in Batman Bruce Wayne's emotions, gaining 10 emotion points. Do you want to upgrade bug skills? A white light screen appeared in front of Lan Chi, but now was clearly not the time to upgrade bug skills. Stop, are you going to arrest us now? Lan Chi asked. Otherwise. Two mental patients, and a Batman from a parallel world, although this Batman doesn't seem that righteous. Batman said. No, all three of us are mental patients. Tai Chi countered. Lan Chi nodded. Right, and I think we can try to coexist peacefully. Peaceful coexistence. But you have already broken the law. In the eyes of mental patients, it's truly hard to distinguish between laws and regulations. So Lan Chi had been talking nonsense with a straight face from the very beginning. We are all mental patients, so breaking the law is quite normal, isn't it? That's very normal. You are just like the Joker, doing evil things because of your mental illness, Batman's deep voice slowly resounded. Destroying Gotham's order, becoming criminals from a parallel world. Alright then, can you tell us what American laws the three of us have broken? Lan Chi asked. The three of us are American citizens from a parallel world. Even if we commit crimes, we will be tried by the American court of that parallel world. And Silent Bat has money to bail us out, so we just need to get our mental illness treated. Hearing Lan Chi's deranged words, Batman's grim face grew even more somber. It's because of people like you, who can be bailed out with money, that Gotham has become like this. His voice was suppressing anger. When his parents died back then, it was because the judge and court took money from Carmen Falcone, which was why Joe Chill was only sentenced to a few years. He detested this. But we are Gothamites from a parallel world, Silent Bat stepped forward and said in a deep voice. I envy you. You grew up in Wayne Manor since childhood, your Wayne group wasn't stolen, and Alfred the butler has always been by your side. Aren't you? Batman asked, surprised. Although he was curious about his parallel self, when he heard the other party speak with an envious tone, he instinctively felt the deep sorrow and sadness within the heart of this parallel self. Of course not. After my parents were shot, I was adopted by the Elliot family. Later, the Elliot couple were also killed in a car accident, and I was sent to Arkham Asylum by Thomas Elliot, where I stayed for over 10 years. Silent Bat's voice didn't tremble, nor was it difficult, he merely recounted that past event calmly and coldly. But Batman and Lan Chi could hear the hidden bitterness deeper within. At that time, I was locked in Arkham Asylum and couldn't go out. The happiest times were every Wednesday when Alfred would secretly come to see me and bring me a lot of food, Silent Bat said calmly. Then, you now. Batman opened his mouth, and finally asked in a somewhat hoarse voice. It's just a few setbacks. I have now reclaimed my Gotham and my Wayne group, Silent Bat replied. Batman was silent for a moment. He deeply sympathized with this parallel self who had suffered so many tragedies. But you shouldn't do these things in my Gotham, and you certainly shouldn't commit crimes. I know you've been through a lot of bad things and have many scars. But Bruce, it's these scars, these tragedies, that have made us who we are. But tragedy made you a hero. Silent Bat retorted. But it also left me alone. Batman countered, unwilling to show weakness. Although he felt a pang of heartache for this parallel self, he was Batman. The Dark Knight Batman, who had long ago sworn an oath before his parents' graves to fight crime in Gotham and protect this city. So we're going back, and during this time, we've also fought crime, haven't we? Lan Chi walked up to Silent Bat, his bright eyes fixed intently on Batman. The two men, wearing identical armor, stood there, staring at each other without moving. One narrowed his eyes, his gaze resolute, the other widened his eyes, serious and firm. One looked like he didn't have mental illness but actually had many psychological issues, the other only looked a bit mentally ill but actually had very serious psychological issues. Catwoman Selina looked at Batman beside her, then at Lan Chi in the Batman armor opposite, her expression suddenly becoming a little strange. She originally thought she could help Batman here and gather information about these people. But she didn't expect Batman to only knock down the Joker and Harley Quinn, and then stop fighting. If he's not fighting, fine, but what's the point of staring at a mentally ill person? Compete to see whose eyes are bigger. Staring for so long and doing nothing. She didn't understand Batman's thoughts, just as she didn't understand Bruce Wayne. Men's thoughts are too hard to guess, a cat simply can't figure them out. Rain drizzled down on Gotham City, hitting the eaves, dripping along the corners of walls, and splashing everywhere. Jason walked somewhat dejectedly down Garnet Street near Crime Alley, letting the rain beat down on him. Although he was covered in injuries and completely soaked, how could the pain of his physical wounds compare to the wound in his heart? Just as he returned to Wayne Manor, Alfred had revealed some of Bruce Wayne's recent thoughts to him. Batman was actually going to abandon him, Robin. Why? Was he not up to the task? As a vigilante fighting criminals, he had done his very best. And after those criminals were caught and sent to Arkham Asylum, they would run out again after a while to harm people. So why not just kill those guys? Jason couldn't understand. Did Batman really enjoy this game of catching criminals so much? The boy's heart felt a little sore, a little lost. The pain of having bones broken by the Joker all over his body was less than 1/10,000th of the loss in his heart. Even the matter of Bruce sending him to Gotham Heights High School was completely forgotten. Some wounds, once cut open, can never truly heal. The boy walked down the street, feeling lost. Suddenly, two burly men behind him rushed forward, directly throwing a sack over him and carrying him away. Jason's vision turned gray, and then he felt someone lifting him up. Let me out, let me out. He struggled constantly, flailing his arms, enduring the pain of shattered bones, kicking his legs wildly, trying to escape. However, the two burly men immediately pulled out a syringe of anesthetic and forcefully jabbed it into Jason's thigh. The anesthetic rapidly injected into his body. In a moment, Robin stopped moving. The two big men quickly hoisted him up and carried him around the corner into a nearby alley. Although 2 or 3 scattered pedestrians on the street saw Jason being sacked, most people ignored it and walked on their way. Gotham was like this, like a sinister viper, cold, ruthless, and deadly. Only 1 or 2 people pulled out their phones, dialing the Gotham City Police Department, GCPD, waiting to watch the fun of the police catching gangsters. After staring for a long time, Lanchi felt his eyes dry, and the act of just staring at Batman like this looked a bit like a mentally ill person. Although he was mentally ill, he had always cooperated well with treatment and didn't want to be mentally ill his whole life. Forget it, staring at you is useless. Let's call your parents out. Lanchi quickly blinked his eyes, preparing to use the most effective method. My parents. Batman was a little surprised, then immediately furious, a ball of anger erupting in his chest like a boiling volcano. You even dug up my parents' graves. His deep voice carried suppressed rage, like a volcano about to erupt. Silent Bat stared intently at Batman, and Tai Chi also widened his eyes, looking at Batman. The atmosphere in the entire room suddenly became heavy. Catwoman Selina looked at the tense figures, secretly pondering. Let them fight. It would be best if the police came and arrested all these mentally ill people, then she could take all the jewels here. Unfortunately, her idea was about to fall through. Because, come out. Batman Bruce Wayne's parents. The cat did not know who Batman was, but she knew who Bruce Wayne was. The head of the Wayne family, one of Gotham City's 4 major families, and also the CEO of Wayne Group. Originally, she had only come to find Batman at Penguin's behest because her jewelry had been stolen by Penguin, and to inquire about these newcomers who had suddenly appeared in Gotham City. But now, she had stumbled upon a piece of information that was completely fatal. Gotham's vigilante, the Dark Knight Batman, was actually Bruce Wayne of the Wayne family. A storm raged in Selina's heart, but her expression remained unchanged. As Lanchi's bug skill activated, 2 familiar figures suddenly appeared before the enraged Batman. And that familiar necklace. Memories from many years ago instantly flooded into Batman's mind. The familiar pearl necklace. That night, they had only gone to see a movie, but he had insisted that his mother wear that necklace. But his mother had said that she only wore that pearl necklace on special occasions. But now, the deceased Wayne couple suddenly appeared before him again, and Martha was wearing that pearl necklace around her neck. But those pearls were clearly at Wayne Manor, they couldn't possibly be here. And the Wayne couple had already died, It was impossible for them to reappear. What was going on? Batman would never believe that the Wayne couple had been resurrected. Because such an ability was too shocking, too outrageous, to the point that he dismissed it first. Could it be something similar to Joker's laughing gas virus or Scarecrow's fear toxin? Making me hallucinate and see my dead parents. Thinking of this, Batman's face became even more solemn, even more somber. However, Martha, aren't we already dead? Why are we in Gotham City again? Thomas Wayne, dressed in a suit and tie, looked at the surrounding scene, especially the Gotham Janie jewelry store outside the window, which made him instantly recognize this familiar city. The alley below also gave him a sense of familiarity. As if something important to him had once happened there. I don't know what's going on either, Thomas. Martha looked around and saw a man and a woman in black bodysuits in front of her. The man looked somewhat like a bat, and the woman looked like a cat. This made Martha a little surprised. When did such people appear in Gotham City? Could they be mental patients who escaped from Arkham Asylum? The conversation between the two immediately stunned Batman, who had still been in a state of anger. Familiar appearance, familiar voice, was this really a hallucination? He felt hesitant, confused, and at a loss. Seeing the Wayne couple still staring blankly at their surroundings, Lanchi immediately stepped forward. Stop looking. It's been more than 10 years since you two died. That guy in the black bodysuit, dressed like a bat pervert, is your son, Bruce Wayne. Hearing Lanchi's words, the Wayne couple were stunned, turning their gaze to Batman. More than 10 years later. This bat freak in front of them was their son, Bruce Wayne. A hint of confusion appeared in their eyes, followed by expressions of strangeness and doubt. Could this guy, dressed exactly like a bat, be their son? They were half believing, half doubting. However, Batman suddenly took off his cowl, revealing a slightly tired face that somewhat resembled Thomas's. With a sharp jawline, slightly protruding cheekbones, and faint dark circles under his lower eyelids. It was indeed Bruce Wayne. Although vastly different from his childhood appearance, the Wayne couple recognized him as their son at a glance. However, after more than 10 years of growth, Bruce's appearance had become somewhat mature. Bruce. Are you really Bruce? Thomas Wayne's voice suddenly trembled. He didn't think about why he could be resurrected, he just looked at the grown-up Bruce with surprise and deep affection. Wanting to engrave his son in his heart. The child who once cried curled up in his arms now had shoulders as broad as his own. At this moment, in the eyes of the Wayne couple, the young Bruce and the current Bruce overlapped. Batman Bruce stepped forward and grabbed Thomas's and Martha's hands. Tears welled in his emerald eyes, inherited from Martha. Originally, he had still been skeptical of this scene before him. However, the warm touch on his hands and the heat emanating from the blood flowing in their veins made him pause. It's real. This is real. Almost instantly, countless unutterable emotions flashed across his face. Father. Mother. His voice was hoarse, but one could hear the excitement contained within it. The Catwoman beside him, seeing Batman take off his cowl and reveal the playboy Bruce Wayne of Wayne Group, couldn't help but be slightly stunned. Shit. It's really Bruce Wayne. She already knew that Batman was Bruce Wayne, should she escape now? Otherwise, what if Batman used Wayne Group's private army and Gotham government's power to catch her? A faint sense of worry quietly emerged in Catwoman's heart. She glanced at Joker and Harley Quinn behind her. It seemed that because Batman had been too heavy-handed, Harley Quinn was still unconscious. But Joker, judging by his breathing rhythm, he had already woken up long ago, but for some reason, he was still pretending to be unconscious. Silent Bat watched tearfully as Batman embraced his parents, who had been deceased for many years. Envy also appeared in his eyes. However, seeing that envious look on your face, I'll resurrect them for you too. Lanchi's voice echoed in his ear. Immediately after, Silent Bat's parents, the Wayne couple from another Gotham, instantly appeared before Silent Bat. Your summoned Batman's parents and Silent Bat's parents caused strong emotional fluctuations in Selina Kyle, Batman, Silent Bat, and Joker, gaining 40 emotional points. Do you want to draw, upgrade bug skills? The moment the white light curtain appeared, Lanchi chose no. Upgrading bug skills was definitely something to do secretly, by himself. How could he do it in front of so many people? How was that any different from taking a shit in public? Not to mention, this was a family reunion scene. Two orphans from parallel worlds tied the knot under the witness of both sets of parents. Just kidding, how could Bruce Wayne marry Bruce Wayne? It's not like that gender-bent Batwoman from Earth-11. But then again, Lan Chi was quite interested in Batwoman. Of course, if he could turn Silent Bat or this Batman into a woman, that would be even better. And because they were the same person from a parallel world, Silent Bat and Batman here also reached a temporary cooperation. Batman also agreed to let Silent Bat and them return to their parallel world for treatment. If one side encountered an unsolvable disaster or criminal, they could ask the other for help. And then cooperate to achieve a win-win situation. However, neither side would actually do that. The answer is, I am Batman. So, happy cooperation, my parallel self. Batman extended his hand and shook Silent Bat's. Under the witness of the Wayne couple from both worlds, these two officially reached an agreement. However, after they withdrew their hands, both Bruces pulled out the miniature remote-controlled bombs that the other had just planted on their hands. Lan Chi saw this scene and immediately complained. Shit. You two old schemers, always have dirty tricks up your sleeves. Catwoman had already left at some point. After all, if she didn't leave soon, she felt she would likely be given special attention by Batman. Piercing siren sounds also began to come from below, indicating that the police would arrive soon. You two go back first. I still need to send these two back to Arkham Asylum and have Dr. Hugo Strange and Warden Jeremiah Arkham treat them. Batman picked up Joker and Harley Quinn, one in each hand, like little chicks. Lan Chi had originally wanted to go back. But upon hearing the names of the two doctors Batman mentioned, he immediately stopped. Wait, how good are these two doctors at treating mental illness? As Batman and Silent Bat tied the knot, Lan Chi and Tai Chi also gained the opportunity to treat their mental illnesses on both sides. Of course, although both Gotham cities were not good places, mentally ill patients still could not easily commit crimes. However, when they were about to leave the parallel world that day, Batman seemed to have received some bad news, and his entire face turned extremely gloomy. Silent Bat Universe. The door that originally led to the Batman universe had been relabeled by Alfred, becoming a door specifically for accessing the parallel world. And Batman also used the power of Wayne Group to build a building there, so that Lan Chi and the others would not encounter robbers when they passed through that door later. Inside the mental treatment room on the third basement floor of the long-abandoned Wayne Manor. The air was filled with a faint lavender scent, which Lan Chi found pleasant. Arkham Asylum had recently been frequently attacked by the outsiders, those revolutionaries. In addition, Lan Chi and Tai Chi had already brought back the key treatment instruments. So, Dr. Harleen began treating them at Wayne Manor. It's a pity that Harley Quinn's mental illness hadn't been cured yet. Otherwise, if two Dr. Harleens treated him, who knew how satisfying that would be. Silent Bat Bruce Wayne, having experienced various things in another world, began to learn Batman's behavior patterns. He secretly investigated the outsiders and the corruption among Gotham's various elites. He was preparing to get this Gotham City back on track. Lan Chi lay on a dark brown leather treatment chair, his face showing some curiosity. Dr. Harleen, don't you need to give me some anesthesia or something? No need. Harleen shook her head, her tone gentle. This instrument will emit a weak magnetic field that penetrates your brain, stimulating your nerves for the first stage of treatment. Dr. Harleen skillfully operated on the complex control panel of the deep transcranial magnetic stimulation device. Buzz. With a low hum, the magnetic coil at the top of the instrument slowly rose, hovering a few centimeters above Lan Chi's head. Immediately after, the magnetic coil began to flash rhythmically, and a faint magnetic field began to penetrate Lan Chi's brain. Lan Chi closed his eyes with anticipation, waiting for the treatment. However, half an hour passed. He still didn't feel any change. Even his brain didn't feel tired, he was still very energetic. Lan Chi, how do you feel? Dr. Harleen asked. Lan Chi blinked, a little hesitant. Dr. Harleen, have you started? Harleen, the treatment is already over. Why don't I feel anything at all? Lan Chi looked at himself, then at the coil above his head. He looked at Dr. Harleen with a strange expression, as if saying, have you started? Harleen. She didn't know why, but she always had a feeling deep down like a middle-aged man finishing too quickly and being questioned about his ability by his wife. You weren't using this thing to collect my data just now, and then plotting something against me, were you? Lan Chi asked with a strange expression. In his mind, he recalled certain films he had seen in his previous life about European and American doctors and patients. Dr. Harleen, if you want my virginity, it's not impossible. If you tell me, I'll definitely give it to you. If you don't tell me, how am I supposed to know that you're using the guise of treatment to want? Stop, stop, stop. Dr. Harleen quickly raised her hand to stop Lan Chi's nonsense. Your mental illness has gotten worse, Lan Chi, now you're even starting to have some illogical thoughts. Harleen felt that she had to increase the intensity of Lan Chi's treatment. Otherwise, who knew what strange ideas would appear in this guy's head again? Lie down, I'll increase the treatment intensity for you. Holding Lan Chi down, Dr. Harleen began to increase the intensity of the magnetic wave treatment. Simple psychotherapy was useless for these two guys, so the treatment intensity had to be increased. On the other side of the room, Tai Chi lay quietly on a white treatment bed, his eyes staring blankly at the ceiling. Dr. Harleen, when can you come and treat me? Coming, wait for me a moment. After increasing the treatment intensity for Lan Chi, Dr. Harleen immediately rushed to Tai Chi's side. Like Lan Chi, Tai Chi was also very ill. This required external stimulation to achieve a healing effect. She walked to the transcranial direct current stimulation device and carefully checked the connection of the electrodes. Then, holding the electrode pads coated with conductive gel, she gently placed them on Tai Chi's temples and the back of his neck. Tai Chi, when the current passes through, you might feel a slight tingling or numbness, and don't take deep breaths, these are all normal phenomena. Why shouldn't I take deep breaths? Tai Chi asked curiously. There was a patient at Arkham Asylum who kept taking deep breaths while being treated with this instrument, and then the current pierced his brain. He became an imbecile and got even sicker, Dr. Harleen explained. Tai Chi shrank his neck a little, scared. How can treating mental illness also kill people? And this strange rule reminded him of his school days. There was a rule at school that boys couldn't enter the same restroom. At the time, he cursed the school for having such an absurd rule. Later, he found out it was because a few senior students were engaged in intense, sprint battles, in the restroom and were discovered by the principal. Sour radish fool. Behind every bizarre rule, there's a absurd story. Dr. Harleen turned on the power switch of the transcranial direct current stimulation device, and a faint current flowed through the electrodes into Tai Chi's body. Tai Chi's body trembled slightly, and his eyes rolled upwards. Oh, so good. Dr. Harleen. Heaven knew what she was feeling inside. These two mentally ill patients were stranger than the other. She felt that if she treated Lan Chi and Tai Chi for too long, she might develop psychological problems herself. After turning on the treatment instruments for these two mentally ill patients, Dr. Harleen began to formulate a treatment plan for Silent Bat. Unlike the mental derangement of these two guys, Silent Bat's mental illness was mainly caused by psychological reasons. So, other methods were needed to guide him. It's just that. Dr. Harleen, is this instrument broken? Why don't I feel anything at all? Yes. So good. This is the feeling. Are you trying to romance me because I'm handsome? I'm telling you, I'm a man of principles, even though I'm mentally ill. But when I was at Arkham Asylum, Ivy often complimented me on being handsome and having strong principles. Dr. Harleen, can you increase the intensity for me? I feel so good. Harleen. Holy shit. These two mentally ill patients are definitely very sick. Super seriously sick. A few minutes later, Dr. Harleen used the transcranial direct current stimulation device that Tai Chi had just used on Lan Chi, turning the current to maximum. Do you feel anything? Lan Chi shook his head, his face blank. No. Forget it, you're sicker than Tai Chi. This first stage of treatment is completely useless for you, Dr. Harleen said, holding her head. It was the first time in her life she had encountered such a mentally ill patient. Even this specialized instrument was completely useless for Lan Chi. This made her doubt her professional career. But immediately after, this doubt was cast aside. It must be because you're too sick, it has nothing to do with my professional level. Yes, that's right. Dr. Harleen nodded. Shit. Then how am I supposed to cure my mental illness? Lan Chi felt a bit frustrated. Why don't we go to Batman? Didn't he say that Dr. Hugo Strange and Dr. Jeremiah Arkham are professional psychology professors? Tai Chi suggested. That's a good idea. Lan Chi nodded, immediately wanting to go to the parallel world with Tai Chi. We also have Professor Hugo here, he's currently the director of Arkham Asylum, Dr. Harleen said. No thanks, I'm already disillusioned with the director of Arkham Asylum. Lan Chi indicated that he had no filter whatsoever for the director of Arkham Asylum. It's all Director Kralane's fault, that quack. Let's go, Tai Chi, let's hurry to Batman's side. However, Lan Chi, if Dr. Harleen can cure my mental illness, then I won't go with you. Didn't you say you didn't want to treat your illness before? Lan Chi looked at him in surprise. There are some unspeakable difficulties. You're just getting off on the electricity, aren't you? Lan Chi said. Tai Chi's face immediately flushed red, and he argued, what are you talking about? What kind of talk is that? Am I, Jervis Tech, that kind of person? Dr. Harleen and Lan Chi both looked at Tai Chi, and both spoke in unison. Yes. Tai Chi. So, in your eyes, I, Tai Chi, am such a worthless person. Just as the three were talking, Jack suddenly opened the door and walked in. He said in a somewhat hurried tone, Dr. Harleen, Bruce might need you. What happened? Seeing the slightly flustered expression on Jack's face, Dr. Harleen's heart tightened involuntarily. Bruce, he encountered a very strong guy, and now he has a bit of a concussion. Dr. Harleen. I'm a psychologist, a psychiatrist, not a, well, concussions fall under neurosurgery. Shit. Work is so annoying. Inside the Batcave, Elliot and the others had previously been locked in a giant birdcage by Silent Bat. Originally, Silent Bat intended to kill these people. But after a series of events in the Batman universe, he also began to emulate Batman's behavior, adhering to his no-kill principle. Just give them some scraps every day, enough to keep these guys alive. And Dr. Harleen also said it would help with his illness. Silent Bat lay on the stone bed inside the Batcave, a constant sharp pain throbbing in his head. He felt his vision blurring, and even the scene before his eyes began to become indistinct. Alfred stood beside him, unwrapping the bandages from Silent Bat's body and removing the Batman armor. Once the armor was removed, several bruises and scars were visible on Bruce's muscular upper body. Looking at the injuries on Master Bruce's body, the old butler's eyes showed distress. His voice trembled slightly. Master Bruce, how did you get such serious injuries? Bruce clutched his head, trying to alleviate the intense pain, but it still felt unbearable. He gritted his teeth, his forehead covered in cold sweat. The intense pain mixed with a dizzying sensation almost made him feel as if his head was about to explode. Security Team Captain Edward Nigma led his men into a conflict with the Outsiders, and an intense gunfight broke out in Gotham's Old District. I originally wanted to stop it, but I didn't expect a remarkably strong man to suddenly appear from the Outsiders' side. He was like an ox, incredibly strong. I even felt that a tank couldn't compare to him. Bruce spoke, recalling the man he had seen earlier. The man was wearing a black bodysuit, with his chest open, revealing extremely powerful muscles. He was burly, with large muscle mass and protruding veins, as strong as an ox. He also wore a mask on his head, somewhat resembling a gas mask. That guy was just too strong and too agile. I was no match for him in a head-on confrontation. How did this happen? At this moment, Dr. Harleen and Lan Chi also arrived at the Batcave. Dr. Harleen, Arkham Asylum has been completely repaired by Mayor March. You can go back in a few days, Bruce said to Dr. Harleen, enduring a severe headache. Don't talk yet, Jack said you have a slight concussion, Lan Chi immediately said. Although Dr. Harleen was a psychiatrist, she had learned some things about concussions and other ailments during her university days. After all, it was related to neurosurgery. Soon, she helped Silent Bat deal with the concussion. Lan Chi and Tai Chi also told Silent Bat that they would go to the parallel world to find a psychiatrist for treatment. They said if anything happened or if they found a good doctor, they could be called back. Alright, but you'd best return once a week to ensure we know you two are still alive, Bruce's deep voice slowly resounded. You're thinking about my ability to summon your parents, aren't you? No, absolutely not. Don't worry, I understand, I get it. Lan Chi gave Bruce an, I understand, look. Night soon fell. Although Lan Chi couldn't sleep due to being too energetic, he still asked Alfred for a room. Silent Bat, meanwhile, was in the Batcave, analyzing the situation in this Gotham and his encounter with the man from earlier in the day. That man was very burly, and he didn't look like a normal human physique. Silent Bat sat in front of the computer, recalling the guy who had smacked him on the head earlier, causing his concussion. Could it be a Gene Warrior? Alfred guessed, standing beside him. Gene Warrior. Gene Warrior was a technological product of Silent Bat's universe. By modifying human and animal genes, Gene Warriors with immense strength or incredible superpowers were created. Silent Bat was startled, then began searching for information related to Gene Warrior on the Batcomputer. As his fingers tapped the keyboard, the computer screen was instantly filled with dense information. It listed the Gene Warrior that the United States had recently been seeking with bounties. Ranked 10th was the very person Silent Bat Bruce had seen today. His eyes narrowed slightly, fixed intently on the information on the computer. Bane. The night was silent, there was no sound in the room, only the constant rustling of rain outside the window. Since it was already October, Gotham's temperature began to drop gradually, and the chilling air was bone-piercing. It was like a beautiful young female ghost suddenly extending a cold hand and slipping it inside your clothes. But Lan Chi felt nothing at all, which surprised him a little. Is it the influence of the bug, or the influence of my mental illness? He was currently lying naked on the bed, not wearing a stitch. Even the window was open, and the cold wind howled in from outside, blowing over his body. However, how can I not feel anything at all? Lan Chi felt very strange. It was the same even when Dr. Harleen was treating him during the day. He originally thought the equipment was broken. But later, when Dr. Harleen used the same equipment she used to treat Tai Chi on him, he still felt nothing at all. Now it seemed very likely that Lan Chi was broken. Could it be because of that evil spirit? This thought popped into his mind. After all, after that evil spirit entered his body, his mental state indeed seemed to improve. Forget it, I'll let Dr. Harleen check again these next few days to see if it can be cured. If not, I'll go to Batman's side and see if there are any good doctors there to treat my mental illness. After all, he had heard Batman mention a Dr. Hugo and a Dr. Jeremiah over there. Although Lan Chi knew that Hugo Strange was not a good person, that Gotham was not the Gotham he remembered. Who knew if that was the main universe? Perhaps Dr. Hugo in that Gotham was a competent psychiatrist. After pondering his mental illness for a while, Lan Chi suppressed the thought. He seemed to have gained a lot of emotion points recently, enough to upgrade some bug skills. Wait, I don't necessarily need others to treat me, do I? With so many bug skills, what if I end up with one that can cure mental illness? Wouldn't I be fine then? Lan Chi slapped his head, marveling at his own genius. He would look for a psychiatrist while also accumulating emotion points, tackling both fronts. If a psychiatrist could cure him, that would be ideal. If not, it didn't matter, he still had bug skills. If he got some strange bug, like a bug skill from the Home of Origin or Rick's Toolbox, he wouldn't have to worry about his mental illness anymore. Thinking this, Lan Chi brought up his white light screen. Almost the instant the thought appeared, a long white light screen materialized before him. Name: Lan Chi. Age: 22. Bug Skill 1, Lan Chi. Introduction: can randomly reduce the IQ of people within 5 meters to 8 years old. Can be used once a day. Current Level 1. Can only randomly reduce the IQ of one person. Cannot currently specify, can be upgraded with points. After upgrade, specify any person within 5 meters to have their psychological age and IQ reduced to 8 years old. Bug Skill 2. Summon Parents. Introduction. Can forcibly summon the target's parents, lasting for half an hour. Current Level 2. Can summon twice a day. After upgrade, can summon 3 times a day. Bug Skill 3. Rick's Toolbox. Introduction. Randomly pull out items from Rick's Toolbox. Current Level 1. Can obtain a portal gun. Pulling the trigger can fire portal fluid to form a green portal. The portal can go anywhere. Each charge can be used once, can be upgraded with points. Bug Skill 4. Steve's Personal Space. Introduction. Can freely place items or oneself into Steve's personal space through a door. Can only be used once a day. Current Level 1. Placing one item into personal space or entering personal space oneself grants half an hour of safe time, can be upgraded with points. After upgrade, personal space expands by one slot. New Bug Batman Armor. A set of armor from the parallel universe Batman Bruce, possessing incredible power. Wearing it allows you to boldly declare, "I am Batman." Hidden Bug. Power of the Prison Boss. Introduction. Every elbow strike gains the power and sound effect, "Man." From the Prison Boss. Emotion Value. 140. Causing intense emotional fluctuations in characters can grant emotion value, sometimes bugs occur. When emotion value reaches 100, a bug ability can be drawn. Draw, upgrade bug skill. If I draw another bug skill, I wonder what else I'll get. The last time I drew Steve's portable space, it almost drove me crazy. But if I draw a bug skill like birthplace, or something else useful for treating mental illness, then I'll hit the jackpot. Should I go all in and risk it for a big gain, or play it safe? I'm so conflicted. Looking at the words on the light screen, Lanchi felt a bit annoyed. Last time, he excitedly spent 100 emotion points to draw a bug skill, only to get Steve's portable space. It really drove him nuts. As for upgrading bugs, he didn't have any good bug skills that could treat his mental illness. Suddenly, Lanchi had a flash of inspiration, and a brilliant idea popped into his head. Wait, can I upgrade Lanchi and use it on myself? He had heard a theory in his previous life. It was said that many mentally ill people were mentally ill not only because of psychological reasons, but also for another reason. That was, their IQ was too high, which caused their brains to not keep up. It was like the saying goes, the CPU is too strong, but the computer's motherboard is too crappy. But what if Lanchi was used to lower the CPU frequency? If his IQ matched his brain, would he recover? Should he try it? Try it, then try it. No sooner said than done. Although he was mentally ill, Lanchi's execution was impeccable. Almost instantly, the text on the light screen flickered and began to change. His emotion points instantly dropped to 40, and the Lanchi bug also leveled up by 1. Bug Skill 1. Lanchi of Lanchi. Description. Can lower the IQ or EQ of people within 5 meters to that of an 8-year-old. Can be used once a day. Current Level 2. Can designate one person for IQ reduction. Currently cannot designate living beings other than humans, can be upgraded by adding points. After upgrade, designate any living being within 5 meters for IQ reduction to that of an 8-year-old. What does cannot designate living beings other than humans mean? Does this mean this thing can lower the IQ of evil spirits or angels in the future? Lanchi had a faint guess in his heart, but no guess was more important than trying to treat his mental illness now. He lay naked on the bed with a solemn expression, turning off the lights. Then, Lanchi. Activate. Just as Lanchi was happily treating himself. Abba Abba, unconscious murmurs came from his mouth. Lanchi's spirited eyes also became foolish, and his face was full of clear stupidity. He had already become an imbecile with an IQ and EQ of only 8 years old. Just as he became an imbecile, several beautiful women in bikinis suddenly appeared before his eyes. Wow. They're all beautiful women. As he spoke, Lanchi's hand began to reach downwards. The traditional human handiwork has a history of at least several thousand years, from ancient times to the present. Today, Lanchi was still striving for its continuation. 2 sleepless nights. When Tai Chi opened Lanchi's room, he saw a not-so-energetic Lanchi. Of course, he was wearing pants. However, the pile of white toilet paper by the bed and a certain smell permeating the room made Tai Chi's face instantly turn strange. Lanchi, you didn't see some beautiful women in bikinis again, did you? It's nothing, just a few evil spirits. I've already made them submit, Lanchi said weakly. Although his body was a bit weak, he became more and more energetic. I didn't see you yesterday. I thought Dr. Harleen was secretly giving you special treatment, but I didn't expect you to be here. Tai Chi looked at Lanchi with a strange expression, and of course, at the dense pile of toilet paper. What are you talking about? I'm contributing to the continuation of human life. Lan Chi retorted. Aren't you hungry? Tai Chi didn't bother to argue with Lan Chi about this and went straight to the point. Gurgle gurgle tilde. His stomach growled with hunger. Of course I'm hungry, over 60 times, I'm almost dehydrated to death. Tai Chi looked at Lan Chi in shock, his eyes wide open, as if he had heard something incredible. What the fool? Over 60 times, and you're still alive. A normal person would have died of dehydration long ago, okay. I'm not a normal person, what's there to be surprised about? Lan Chi said with a matter-of-fact expression. A normal person's limit was 30-something times, but he wasn't a normal person. Was 60-something times scary? It was far from his limit, okay. Batman Universe. Half a month had passed since Silent Bat and the others left. During this time, Batman Bruce had still not found Robin Jason's whereabouts. This made him a little worried that the other party might do something to harm himself. After all, this child had experienced too little. However, just as Bruce Wayne was overwhelmed, his email suddenly received an anonymous email. If you want to find Robin Jason, come to Ace Chemical Plant. Don't play tricks, or you will lose this young man forever. Looking at this email and the naked threat on it, Batman's face suddenly turned gloomy. Young Master Jason has been kidnapped. Alfred was also a little surprised. Both of them had originally thought that Robin Jason was throwing a tantrum, but they never expected that he had been kidnapped. No, I have to go save Jason. Half a month has passed, and he might have suffered some bad things during such a long time. Batman put on his cowl and immediately prepared to drive the Batmobile to Ace Chemical Plant. Before he left, Alfred called out to him. Master. Alfred, I know what you're going to say, but saving Jason is more important now. Batman leapt up and directly sat in the driver's seat of the Batmobile. I know, you need to do what you should. But Master, you are in a very bad state. I can accept you not sleeping, but I hope you can eat something. Alfred said, then took out a thermos and handed it to Batman. The thermos contained chicken soup that he had stewed for about 2 hours. You want me to bring a bowl of hot soup to save Jason? Batman held the thermos, a little surprised. I'd like to add that chicken soup is also your best companion when you're in the Batmobile. I know the steam might ruin the atmosphere, Master, but I guarantee your opponent won't notice that instant. And this can also be given to young Master Jason to drink, Alfred added. Batman held the thermos, imagining himself saving Jason while sipping chicken soup. Just as a smile was about to appear on his face, he immediately started the Batmobile's engine. The dark war machine, accompanied by the roaring engine, sped away. Alfred stared blankly at the speeding Batmobile. He felt that this city had demanded too much from Bruce. Whenever something happened, Bruce's other matters became unimportant, because he regarded Gotham's safety as his primary responsibility. And every time Gotham was harmed, he would always regard it as his failure. Just like with Jason's education, Master Bruce always felt that he had failed miserably in this regard. But even Batman was not an omnipotent god. Now, he only hoped that young Master Jason and Master Bruce could both return safely. The night was desolate, neon lights flickered between tall buildings, showcasing the extravagance of socialites. And in the East District, countless slums were dilapidated and pitch black. There was even a strong foul odor permeating the air. The Batmobile sped along the roads of the East District and soon arrived at Ace Chemical Plant. At this moment, the man hiding in the dark saw Batman's figure appear through his binoculars. A smile immediately appeared on his face. He, Bane, you can start. Let Batman witness his assistant's death with his own eyes, let the little assistant die in his arms. That will surely give that man an exceptionally heavy mental blow. The night was inky, and chilling raindrops fell from the sky, gradually coming down. Gotham's industrial district center was full of various factory parks. Icy metal chemical barrels were corroded slightly by acidic raindrops. Inside a warehouse at Ace Chemical Plant. Bang! A huge fist smashed hard into Jason's head. Scarlet blood immediately flowed from his nose. A pungent, rust-like smell permeated the air. Kid, Batman seems to care a lot about you. Hearing the Birdman's words in his earpiece, Bane's face bore a ferocious smile. In Jason's eyes, this overly strong man in front of him was like a demon with a gaping maw. Not only did he crush all of Jason's remaining intact bones, but he also continuously humiliated him. And only now did Jason realize that this villain named Bane's target was actually Batman. Why would he target Batman? Jason didn't understand in his heart. But he knew that Batman would definitely catch this super criminal in front of him. Because he is Batman. You just wait, Batman will catch you, he definitely will. His voice was incredibly firm. He seemed certain that Batman would definitely capture this ox-like man in front of him. Batman. Bane's voice was deep, yet also like a roar. In his mind, he saw the bat monster he often dreamed of when he was in the Cuban prison. That bat monster, the nightmare in the shadows, had accompanied him from prison until now. Decades of prison life did not break him, instead, it allowed him to collect many books and learn many things. And this also filled Bane, this burly, ox-strong man, with wisdom. Under the dual blessings of intellect and strength, he finally stepped out of the prison's confines and faced his inner fear. That nightmare, that fooled bat monster. He wanted to find it, to defeat it. And then, bathed in the blood of the bat, destroying the long-standing fear. Liberating Gotham from the hands of the bat monster. By then, Gotham would truly welcome her king. Everyone would cheer his name. Bane. Gotham's undisputed uncrowned king. The king who saved Gotham, this fool, from the bat monster's hands. Of course, the bat monster's minions must also be killed. That is this Robin in front of him. With a bang. Bane closed the warehouse door and simultaneously pressed the switch for the remote-controlled bomb inside. Let's go. While Batman is on his way, we'll attack the Gotham Armory. Looking at the deep night and the drizzling rain, his heart swelled with ambition. Starting tonight, I will liberate the city of Gotham from Batman's hands. Batman hastily arrived outside Ace Chemical Plant in the Batmobile. For some inexplicable reason, a long unfelt sense of tension suddenly arose in his heart. This was an emotion he hadn't experienced since his first year as Batman. And today, this emotion once again assailed his heart. This feeling made him very uncomfortable. But at this moment, saving Jason was paramount. Jason. He suddenly ran towards the warehouse in front of him. As if hearing Batman's voice, Jason, who had been tortured beyond recognition, slowly woke up. He struggled, crawling on the ground. Stinging pain filled every part of his body, and the cold ground permeated a chilling aura directly into his shattered bones. Ignoring the pain and coldness on his body, he gradually crawled to the door. He raised his arm and twisted the doorknob. However, the door was completely locked, he couldn't get out at all. Jason wanted to shout out, to tell Batman he was here. But he was in too much pain. His face was pale, and blood flowed freely from his nose, mouth, and ears. He didn't have any strength to shout. Even if he used all his strength, he couldn't shout. Suddenly, beep, beep, beep. A clear ticking sound came from behind him. He turned his head to look back and saw a C4 bomb tied not far behind him. And the numbers on it were slowly ticking, already reaching 3 seconds. A chill suddenly rose in his heart. Jason. I'm coming, hold on. Batman's shouts kept coming from outside. But now, Jason suddenly felt that he could shout out, calling Batman over. But, the bomb was going to explode in 3 seconds. If Batman came over, he might also be affected. If he got hurt, who would protect this city of sin, Gotham? Jason's heart was a mix of emotions. But as the bomb timer zeroed out, his chaotic thoughts gradually dissipated. Finally, only one sentence remained. If there's a next life, I still want to be your Robin, Bruce. Boom. A terrifying explosion, carrying a shockwave, instantly demolished the warehouse. Dense flames spread from the factory building. Batman, still searching for Jason, was caught off guard by the shockwave and quickly fell to the ground. Looking at the ruins and the sparks flying everywhere, Batman's face instantly changed. He quickly rushed forward, looking at the leveled warehouse, a momentary look of bewilderment flashing across his face. Jason. He turned over rubble, pushed aside broken wood, and finally found Jason's body under a piece of rubble. Looking at Jason, whose bones were broken all over and who was covered in blood, Batman's heart was filled with sorrow. He picked up Jason's body, his lips trembling, his teeth clenched. No. Jason. Lan Chi, shouldn't we go find them first? Tai Chi walked on the road. Looking at the passers-by around him, especially a guy opposite who was as strong as an ox, his face was full of curiosity. Why find them? We don't rob, we don't rape, we're law-abiding citizens of America, or rather, pitiful mental patients. Lan Chi continued, of course we should go find a psychiatrist first. Dr. Harleen can't cure my illness. She just told me to write my rich imagination into a book or write it all out, but I feel this method, while a little useful, isn't very effective. We definitely need to use this method for treatment while also looking for other psychiatrists. He looked at the three burly men walking past and suddenly asked, hey, do you know which direction Arkham Asylum is in? Bane stopped and turned to look at these two guys in orange clothes. These two just now, were they asking him? They're two escaped mental patients, Bane. The caveman beside him whispered a reminder. Mental patients. Bane murmured, looking at Lan Chi and Tai Chi. Yes, we are two poor and helpless mental patients. Even if we commit a crime, we'll only be sent to a mental hospital. As Lan Chi spoke, he pulled down Tai Chi's pants, revealing two Glock pistols. And one of Tai Chi's own pistols. Lan Chi, why are you pulling down my pants? Aren't I showing them that we're mental patients? And also showing off our firepower? Lan Chi scratched his head and said earnestly. Tai Chi pulled up his pants, took out two Glock pistols, and aimed them at Bane and his two companions. Shit. I think you just wanted to pull down my pants. Never mind that, do you three know where Arkham Asylum is? Bane. Is this Gotham? Even the mental patients who randomly ask you for directions on the street are this abnormal. You didn't even say anything, and they pulled out two pistols and aimed them at you. Indeed, the Bat Monster has poisoned this city for a long time, making everyone here abnormal. He, Bane, carries the mandate of heaven. To reclaim Gotham from the Bat Monster's hands. Just like the king in a fairy tale, saving his princess from the monster's hands. And then, liberate Gotham. Generally speaking, a brawny, burly man with a physique like a bear might not necessarily be intelligent. But Bane was an exception. While in prison, he not only regularly exercised but also frequently had his subordinates collect books from outside. In just a few years, Bane became not only physically strong but also possessed astonishing wisdom. Are you scared yet? He's as strong as an ox, capable of killing several Batmans with one punch, yet his intelligence is almost on par with Batman's. How can Batman win? If it weren't for the later influence of venom affecting his brain, leaving only the astonishing part of his astonishing wisdom intact. Bane actually had a very good chance of snatching Gotham City from the Bat Demon King. It's just a pity that the Bat Demon King is the darling of those DC editors. Even if Bane gave his all, he still couldn't win. And now, Bane encountered two lunatics. A lunatic wearing an Arkham Asylum patient uniform asked him for directions to Arkham Asylum. Bane's astonishing wisdom merely shifted slightly, and he conceived an excellent plan. Arkham Asylum is over there, and you can take a taxi to get there. He pointed to another part of the street, a smile on his face. He looked like the kind, approachable older brother next door. Except this older brother might crush your head at any moment. Thanks, Tai Chi, let's go, to find a psychiatrist. Lan Chi put away the gun from Tai Chi's hand and walked in the direction Bane pointed, hailing a taxi along the way. Coincidentally, after just a few steps, the two lunatics stopped a somewhat dilapidated, somewhat cratered taxi. Where to? The driver's voice was slightly hoarse, and he had two large dark circles under his eyes. It seemed he must have pulled many all-nighters. However, after seeing the clothes of the two passengers in the back through the rearview mirror, the driver's heart suddenly skipped a beat. How did the madman from the mental hospital escape? Wait a minute. Why do these two guys look a little familiar? Chaz's expression was a bit strange. He quickly turned his head to look at the two passengers behind him. That's right, Arkham Asylum patient uniforms. Two familiar faces, they were the two lunatics he encountered that night. Shit. How did I pick up these two guys? The two lunatics sat in the back as earnestly as elementary school students. To Arkham Asylum, and don't take us the long way around, we're Old Gotham, true Black Flag members, we know the way. Normally, the unscrupulousness of Gotham taxi drivers would absolutely exceed your imagination. They would never take a shortcut if there was a long way around, and they even carried guns, ripping you off with the meter. Sometimes, if they picked up someone with a bounty on their head from a gang, they might just deliver you directly to the gang, getting paid from both sides. Alright then. Chaz looked at the two wide-eyed, meticulous lunatics, who were more like elementary school students than actual elementary school students, and finally decided to take them back to Arkham Asylum. Taking lunatics back to the mental hospital. This could be considered a good deed, right? Having done so many things with Constantine for so long, his positive karma was long gone. Not to mention the late-night flights in the past few days had cost him a lot of positive karma. Taking lunatics back to Arkham Asylum could also be considered accumulating positive karma. If he didn't have to fly at night, then he would accumulate double positive karma. Double positive karma, only he, Chaz, could do it. If it were Constantine, that guy, it would be absolutely impossible. The taxi quickly started, and the scenery outside the window began to move slowly backward. Even when driving on a road full of potholes, the car still drove very steadily. He was clearly an experienced driver. However, Yahoo! Several guys riding motorcycles and wearing Joker masks were speeding down the road. Each of them held a rifle and was randomly shooting at the street. Behind them were police cars with continuously blaring sirens. What the fool? Fast and Furious. Lan Chi stared wide-eyed at a motorcycle youth speeding by. Only, this motorcycle youth wasn't paying attention for a moment. The motorcycle crashed violently into the back of a large truck, and the fuel tank was directly dented with 200-shaped indentations. The first thing he did after getting off the bike was not to shoot, nor to beg the police for mercy. Instead, he opened his mouth wide, his face contorted, clutching his lower body, without even the strength to shout. Tisk, this guy is probably going to turn from Brother Peng into Sister Yu. Lan Chi kept complaining as he looked at the scene behind them. Bang bang bang. Bullets continuously rained down on the road. One even shot through the windshield behind Lan Chi, narrowly missing his head. Making a big hole in a small head. It almost hit me. Lan Chi quickly ducked his head, to avoid being hit again. Tai Chi next to him also quickly squatted down, simultaneously pulling out two handguns from his pants pocket. He held the two handguns as if Yan Shuangdiang had possessed him, firing two shots that hit the vital points of the two motorcycle youths behind them. Of course, while these vital points wouldn't kill them instantly, they were very fatal. After all, not everyone can empathize with the sorrow of Oo. At least Lan Chi didn't want to empathize. Hold on, I'm going to speed up, Chaz said calmly. It seemed this experienced driver was already accustomed to life in Gotham. Although Lan Chi's understanding of this Gotham was not ideal, he clearly knew that no matter which Gotham, there was always a cesspool. Silent Bat's Gotham's Old Town, Batman's Gotham's East End. If Gotham was a black page, with the city full of crime, then the East End was a district built within crime and among criminals. The people here were either committing crimes or on the way to committing crimes. While Lan Chi and Tai Chi were squatting in the back of the car, with Tai Chi continuously firing his gun. The taxi quickly accelerated and drifted, shaking off the group of crazy youngsters behind them. Who can't accelerate in a straight line? Going fast on curves is true speed. Phew. These guys must be the Joker gang's crazy youngsters. They're so crazy, why don't they go to Arkham Asylum for treatment instead of playing fast and furious on the street? Lan Chi let out a long breath. Those little fools tried to shoot me, luckily my aim is good, I blew their balls off. Tai Chi put away his handgun, intending to tuck it into his crotch. But he forgot that continuously firing had made the barrel hot, and putting it in now would. Hiss. He sucked in a cold breath, quickly pulling the handgun out. Shit. I didn't realize you like to iron your bird, Tai Chi. Lan Chi stared wide-eyed as Tai Chi hastily pulled out the smoking handgun. Didn't you see I forgot the gun was too hot, Lan Chi? Tai Chi said, grimacing. After putting the gun away, he looked towards the intersection ahead. However, they seemed to be driving towards the suburbs. Wait, is Arkham Asylum in this Gotham built in the suburbs? He couldn't help but ask. No, what mental hospital would be in the suburbs? Lan Chi felt something was off. Very, very off. This driver had a problem. Shit. Where are you trying to take us, you fool? He fixed his gaze on Chaz ahead, cursing angrily. Chaz was currently on the phone, a man's voice coming from the other end. Hurry. Chaz, bring the holy water, there's a great demon here. Hearing the other party's voice, Chaz gritted his teeth, shifted to the highest gear, sharply turned the steering wheel, and floored the gas pedal. The taxi executed a stylish drift on the curve, instantly overtaking the Maserati beside it. Even Chaz, an experienced driver of many years, couldn't help but marvel at his superb driving skills. Only. A handgun was suddenly pressed against his lower body, the lunatic behind him full of rage. You said no detours, how come you're taking us to the suburbs? If you don't give an explanation, say goodbye to your. If you were Chaz. While driving his taxi as usual, he encountered two mental patients dressed in Arkham Asylum patient uniforms. And on the streets of East Gotham, he also saw a young man wearing a Joker mask and police officers performing a fast and furious style chase. His good friend Constantine called, asking him to bring holy water to a location in the suburbs to save him. And the mental patient behind him, seeing that he was taking a detour, pointed a pistol at his lower body, threatening to make him a eunuch. How would you respond? At this moment, Chaz could already feel the scorching hot gun pointed at his lower body. Lan Chi held a Glock pistol, pressing the hard barrel directly against Chaz's lower body. Shit. This thing is too hard, too hot. Chaz couldn't help but curse. Hurry up and tell us. Why are you taking us the long way around? We're just poor, helpless mental patients. It's bad enough we're tormented by our mental illness, but now you, this unscrupulous driver, are taking us the long way, and you might even sell us both and take our kidneys. Lan Chi's face was flushed with anger. He couldn't imagine what their fate would be if he and Tai Chi hadn't discovered that this scumbag was driving towards the suburbs. My friend needs me, Chaz replied, stomping on the accelerator. Because of the pistol pressed against his lower body, he now felt cold sweat seeping from his forehead. Your friend needs you, so we don't need a psychiatrist. Lan Chi retorted. Chaz remained silent, only shifting gears and pressing the accelerator. The engine roared like a beast, and the taxi shot out like a cannonball, instantly speeding down the road. Far ahead. You're not answering us, are you? You think we mental patients are easy to mess with, do you? Lan Chi was instantly enraged by his actions and disregard. Although the taxi's speed had reached a terrifying 200 miles per hour at this moment, he didn't feel the slightest fear. Bang! A gunshot suddenly rang out. A patch of blood instantly appeared on Chaz's pants. Shit. His face immediately turned pale, and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. A sharp pain came from his lower body, a pain unbearable for ordinary people. But luckily, that part wasn't injured. Presumably, this mental patient's marksmanship wasn't very good. Otherwise, Chaz would have made Constantine pay him for a new one. Quickly turn around and go to Arkham Asylum. Seeing that shooting to scare him didn't work, Lan Chi stood up again, preparing to grab the steering wheel. This will cause a car accident. Chaz swerved the steering wheel sharply, barely preventing the taxi from hitting the car in front. Tai Chi. Quickly hypnotize this guy, or else we'll be sold off without even knowing it. Lan Chi turned his head and said to Tai Chi next to him. Coming. Tai Chi naturally knew what unusual things were happening at this moment. He immediately sat behind Chaz. He wrapped both hands around Chaz's neck, trying to make Chaz's head look back so he could hypnotize the other party. However, shit. I can't breathe. Chaz's face was pale, and he was gasping for air. He felt that he might be tortured to death by these two mental patients before even reaching Constantine. Then hurry up and turn around. Take us to Arkham Asylum, to find a psychiatrist, to treat our mental illness. Lan Chi's voice entered his ears. Find a psychiatrist. Chaz didn't have time to think and blurted out, my friend is a very good psychiatrist, and I'm going to save him now. You can let him help you with your treatment later. He's the best psychiatrist. Hearing this, Lan Chi and Tai Chi looked at each other. Then, the two mental patients sat in the back row as if nothing had happened. The psychiatrist you mentioned is Constantine, right? Lan Chi asked, looking at the weak-faced Chaz. That's him. You should have said so earlier, it's a misunderstanding, all a misunderstanding. Chaz swallowed, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. Although he was Constantine's friend and often dealt with evil spirits with Constantine. He felt that the two mental patients behind him looked much scarier than evil spirits. Holy crap. God knows how much his inner thigh hurt. Chilly rain began to pour down from the sky. The rain was pouring, ceaselessly. Tai Chi sat in the back, feeling the oppressive atmosphere in the taxi, and couldn't help but ask Chaz in front. Driver, what do you do for work? Chaz. Lan Chi. How did Tai Chi become so idiotic? Lan Chi covered his head, speechless. No, he's driving a taxi, and you're asking him what he does for work. Is he not a taxi driver, but an exorcist? Tai Chi, sometimes I really feel like there's something wrong with your brain. You're very smart when you're a genius, and very idiotic when you're an idiot. Tai Chi scratched his somewhat pointed head and asked confusedly, wasn't I trying to ease the atmosphere, seeing that it was a bit oppressive? After speaking, he turned his head and continued to ask Chaz, driver, what exactly do you do for work? Chaz was silent for a moment, then, thinking that these two mental patients were a bit abnormal, he answered, I'm a taxi driver. See, didn't I just ask it? This driver's job is a driver. Tai Chi had a, I'm such a genius, expression on his face. Lan Chi. Whatever makes you happy. He finally understood that Tai Chi not only often saw hallucinations but also had a mental illness related to idiocy. Compared to himself, Tai Chi's idiocy might be more severe. As for Lan Chi's own mental illness, he guessed it was probably due to too high an IQ, a dysfunctional brain, plus the influence of a system bug. This caused him to occasionally see hallucinations and do things that normal people wouldn't do. Seeing the two mental patients sitting obediently in the back, Chaz finally breathed a sigh of relief. His expression immediately became serious, one hand gripping the steering wheel, the other beginning to shift gears. The taxi's speed continued to soar, heading towards the suburbs outside Gotham City. He even used inertia to drift through turns while accelerating. What is an old driver? This is an Akina Mountain old driver. In Gotham City, you can be without a gun, you can be without money, but you can't have bad driving skills. See, even when 300-ton kings appeared in front of him, Chaz remained calm. He slammed the steering wheel, instantly throwing the entire taxi out. He narrowly escaped through the gap between the 300-ton kings. Lan Chi, I feel like we're a bit too bold, getting into such a dangerous car. Tai Chi looked at the 300-ton kings behind him, feeling somewhat shaken. Don't worry, Tai Chi, when you're smashed into pieces, I'll definitely help you put together a complete corpse, Lan Chi said, patting his chest. Tai Chi. Was he, Tai Chi, going to be smashed into countless pieces of flesh? Amidst the conversation between the two mental patients, the taxi, like a mad wild horse, sped forward. Spinning, drifting, soaring over curves. There's nothing you can't imagine, and nothing he can't do. Finally, to Chaz's eager anticipation, the small villa in the suburbs appeared before him. Wait for me. Constantine. With a violent screech of tires on the ground, the taxi stopped steadily in front of the villa. Only. The figure standing in front of the villa was originally about to speak. But he was completely drenched by the sewage splashed out by the taxi. Constantine. Exorcism is something that requires immense faith. And being an exorcist requires even stronger psychological fortitude, as well as being prepared to flee at any moment. Constantine was just such an exorcist, frequently fleeing and causing the demise of many. He stood in front of the small villa that needed exorcism, holding an umbrella, his face filled with melancholy. Skillfully, he pulled a cigar from the pocket of his perpetually worn beige overcoat. Then, he put it in his mouth, took out a lighter, and prepared to light it. However, a yellow taxi suddenly shot out with lightning speed. In almost an instant, it skidded to a halt in front of him. Splash. Cold rainwater mixed with ground sewage splashed all over Constantine, giving him a thorough drenching. Looking at the taxi just 3 centimeters away from him, and his soaked clothes, Constantine felt this friend needed an exorcism. Coincidentally, he also had a priest friend who was quite accomplished in this field, and the size was also suitable. Sending Chaz over for an exorcism would be excellent. Constantine. Are you alright? Chaz kicked open the taxi door and immediately rushed to Constantine, taking the umbrella from his hand. Constantine looked at his soaked clothes, then at Chaz. Chaz, I feel like your recent state isn't very good, you might be possessed by an evil spirit and need a priest for an exorcism. Chaz was stunned by the words, then a nervous expression appeared on his face. Really? Am I really tangled up with those hateful evil spirits? And is the priest you mentioned reliable? Is he as reliable as you? Constantine. He could believe such a simple lie. Sometimes he felt it was a miracle his friend was still alive. Constantine. It really is you. Two mental patients found an umbrella in the car and immediately jumped out, walking up to Constantine. Oh, I recognize you too. Constantine immediately recognized Lan Chi and Tai Chi as two of the three mental patients he had met that night. Chaz said you are quite accomplished in psychotherapy and psychiatric treatment, and are the best psychiatrist. Lan Chi seriously shook Constantine's somewhat damp hand. Then he wiped it on Tai Chi's patient gown. Ah, the best psychiatrist. Constantine looked at Chaz in confusion, as if to say, are you kidding me? Didn't you used to encounter many evil spirits and demons with mental problems? I figured since you fixed them all and sent them back, you should be able to cure their mental illness too, Chaz said, scratching his head. For some reason, Constantine felt speechless. When did his friend become so infuriating? He had clearly used his wise little head and countless exorcism incantations to force back those evil demons. He barely even used magic, so how did he become the best psychiatrist in Chaz's eyes? And even able to counsel evil spirits and demons on their psychological issues. If he had such ability, why would Constantine need Chaz to bring holy water? Never mind that, there's still a demon inside. Quickly give me the holy water, I'm going to exorcise it. Constantine changed the subject and asked Chaz beside him. He had brought too little holy water this time, not nearly enough for this exorcism, otherwise he wouldn't have called Chaz to rush over midway. Chaz. Oh no, with two mental patients pointing guns at his lower body, he was too focused on driving. Looking at Chaz's suddenly stiff face, Constantine asked in disbelief. Don't tell me you came here with nothing but these two mental patients. You didn't bring the holy water I asked for. Silence. Chaz said nothing. He just wanted to dig a 3-bedroom, 1 living room hole in the ground with his toes and bury himself in it. You almost got me killed. Constantine cursed. Boom. Suddenly, the small villa behind them emitted a huge sound. Almost instantly, a distorted creature burst through the main door of the villa and rushed out. It looked like a person possessed by a demon. Her entire skin was covered in spiderweb-like black veins, her eyeballs had turned completely white and were bloodshot. Her jaw had dropped and sagged, revealing a second mouth filled with sharp, pale teeth. Her arms were covered in tumor-like protrusions, each embedded with a cloudy eyeball staring fixedly at the 4 people in front of her. Tai Chi's eyes widened as he looked at the monster in front of him, which was twice as tall as a person and stood on the ground with limbs at distorted angles. What the fool is that thing? Seeing this thing, Lan Chi felt as if he was watching some Cthulhu movie he had seen in a past life. A human possessed by a demon. Constantine's calm eyes instantly became unsettled after seeing this guy rush out. Crucifix. Chaz, your crucifix, give it to me. I don't know when I ever had a crucifix. Didn't I give it to you to make holy water during the last exorcism? Chaz yelled. As the two talked, the demon-possessed individual's face showed a mocking smile. John Constantine. I recognize you. Your name is already very famous among the demons of hell. Is this your acquaintance demon? Lan Chi asked. I don't know, I don't recognize him. Constantine shrugged and pulled out his Zorro kerosene lighter, engraved with a cross, from his pocket. Fortunately, he had specially custom-made such a lighter out of silver earlier. Otherwise, if he had to rely entirely on Chaz, he would probably be screwed by this guy. Heh, a coward who doesn't even dare to commit suicide. The demon's voice was like sandpaper grinding rust, hoarse and deep. As he spoke, his body suddenly rushed to Constantine. His twisted hands grabbed the other's neck, lifting the exorcism master high into the air. Then, Constantine's body was slammed hard onto the ground beside him, like a kite with a broken string. Bang! A dull sound echoed. Constantine felt his internal organs vibrating. He spat out the blood foam from his mouth and looked up, staring intently at the demon in front of him. Even without holy water, I can send a common demon like you back to hell. After saying that, Constantine clenched the lighter in his hand and simultaneously muttered incantations. Then, he gripped the lighter and stood up, ready to rush forward and deliver a powerful punch to the fooled demon. However, am I having another episode? Lan Chi suddenly shrieked, and then the surrounding scene abruptly changed. The small grove, which had been experiencing a light rain, instantly transformed into a blood-red space. Shit. What episode of yours? This is my magic. The demon said disdainfully. Constantine was stunned when he saw the change in the surrounding environment. Then, cold sweat began to seep from his forehead, and his face started to turn pale. Could this guy, who could change the surrounding scene with a single thought, be some great demon from hell? While he was dazed, the demon suddenly approached, its putrid breath spewing onto Constantine's face. Exorcism Master. The demon's tone carried a hint of mockery. Do you remember Mary? The little girl who cried and begged you to save her. As the demon spoke, an illusion seemed to appear before Constantine's eyes. Mary was his friend's daughter, and also the most painful memory in his heart. 7-year-old Mary screamed in the fire, while Constantine stood at the church door, trembling and helpless. You could clearly see the demon inside her, yet you watched her being consumed by the flames. The demon's face showed a mocking and chilling smile. And now, this girl named Sarah, you can't save her either. From a very young age, Constantine knew that magic came with a price. Many times, the price required was far beyond what ordinary people could imagine. Just like the first time he awakened magic when he was a child. It was just a simple fire magic, but the young Constantine used it on his father. And so, his father was burned alive by his own good-for-nothing son. Afterward, Constantine spent years moving between various mental hospitals and churches. A few years ago, he came to Gotham and met his friend Chaz. Gotham is full of talented people, and his friend Chaz is also a big troublemaker. Just like now. There was no holy water, only a lighter with a cross symbol embedded in it. How was he going to deal with this guy, who was clearly a great demon? Hearing the demon's mocking words, Constantine remained silent, only tightening his grip on the lighter in his hand. Then, bang! The fist, gripping the cross lighter, slammed into the demon's chest. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. As if hot oil was boiling in a pot, a wisp of white smoke suddenly appeared on the demon's chest. Hey, with just such an item, your exorcism is useless against me. The demon's gaze fell on Chaz, who was pale nearby, and the two mental patients beside him, his voice cold and cruel. I want you to see with your own eyes how your friend dies. After speaking, the demon suddenly rushed in front of Chaz. Holy crap! Chaz's scalp tingled at the sight, and he immediately tried to stand up and run. Only a bullet had been shot into his thigh by Lan Chi earlier, and now it was excruciatingly painful, making it impossible for him to stand up in his haste. He looked at the terrifying demon in front of him and couldn't help but swallow. Can you spare me? I have a 3-year-old child at home who needs feeding, and an 83-year-old grandma who's still in elementary school. Do you think we demons are illiterate? What elementary school is an 83-year-old attending? The demon cursed angrily. Then how about I give you a blowjob? Don't kill me, my family really needs me to earn money. As he spoke, Chaz crawled in front of the demon, immediately trying to pull down his pants. Wow, it looks like this driver isn't normal either. Lan Chi stood by and commented. Would a normal person talk to a demon like that? Tai Chi nodded in agreement. Constantine. He is indeed abnormal sometimes. I originally wanted to take him to a priest for an exorcism, but now it seems there's no chance. Chaz. Shit. Do you think I want to do this kind of thing? It's not a succubus, and it's not fair-skinned. This ugly demon, just thinking about it makes me want to vomit. Do you think I want to do this kind of thing? The demon slapped Chaz directly to the ground. You're not a beauty, nor a succubus, how could I let you suck my dick? I've seen many people like you, who will stop at nothing to survive. No wonder you've stayed alive by Constantine's side all this time. The demon's mocking words echoed in Chaz's ears. But as an old Gotham true black flag, he was not ashamed by this. Instead, he felt like the other party was praising him. After all, in Gotham, especially in Gotham East District, to become a thriving taxi driver, Chaz was naturally a flexible person. Of course, this refers not to the latter part, but to his character. The demon grabbed Chaz by the neck with one hand, his eyes arrogantly looking at Constantine, who was lying on the ground. Constantine, your soul is already predestined for hell. Now, let me show you how your friends will die before your eyes. As he spoke, the demon's arm suddenly exerted force, and Chaz's neck seemed to be tightly gripped by an iron clamp. His face flushed, and he was lifted entirely, while frantically trying to pry open the demon's arm with his hands. Constantine's expression immediately became solemn when he saw this scene. He took out his silver cross lighter, and at the same time, he muttered something, preparing to use magic to send this demon back to hell. The demon looked at him with extreme arrogance, clearly showing naked provocation. However, before anyone knew it, Lan Chi had already rushed under the demon's crotch and delivered an elbow strike directly to that area. The imagined sound of shattering eggs did not occur. Instead, there was a feeling of indentation. It shouldn't be like this. Lan Chi was somewhat taken aback. What the fool? Is the one you possessed a girl? But even if it was a possessed girl, when the crucial part was subjected to Lan Chi's elbow strike, the demon did not fare well. In pain, he felt his consciousness waver, and at the same time, Chaz in his hand broke free. Lan Chi, run quickly. I can't hypnotize him. The gloomy rain suddenly began to fall, feeling to Bruce like Jason's tears. Few people attended Jason's funeral, only his adoptive father and Alfred beside him were present. Have you found out, Alfred? Batman, disguised as Bruce, was expressionless, his eyes fixed on Robin's grave. The small mound of a grave was a cage, containing the corpse of his adopted son and assistant. The large Gotham was also a cage, containing the first half of his life. Not yet. That group left almost no clues, and even the nearby surveillance cameras didn't capture their figures. It's clear they planned this for a long time. The elderly man, like an English gentleman, held an umbrella, shielding himself and his young master beside him. In a building in the distance from the cemetery, Bane was monitoring Batman with a telescope. The famous Batman is actually the CEO of Wayne Group. I should have thought of it earlier. Given Batman's financial resources and Gotham's situation, who else could it be? Let's go. We've already stolen so many weapons from the Gotham Armory, and even Stinger missiles. This time, I'm going to defeat Batman in one fell swoop. Bane narrowed his eyes slightly, a determined light bursting forth from them. He seemed to see that Bat monster being broken by him in one blow, wailing. Facing the blood of the Bat monster, Gotham, this fool, would finally be embraced by him, sucking on her breasts. Including the people of Gotham City, they would also be liberated by him, Bane. The rain gradually stopped, and Bane, with his 3 subordinates, left the building and wandered near the slums of Gotham East District. Looking at the people around them, each face showed apprehension and vigilance, and most people's gazes were even fixed on them. These people had been oppressed by the Bat monster for long enough. It was time for him, Bane, to bring them liberation. Walking along the way, Bane saw many people with emaciated faces. Compared to them, his own fierce and evil appearance looked perfectly normal, just like a small gang leader nearby. Only. Please save my wife. She's pregnant and sick now. Please let me join your gang, I want to earn money to save her. A pale, incredibly weak-looking middle-aged man suddenly knelt in front of Bane, nervously looking at the huge, beast-like muscle monster in front of him. His clothes were faded from washing, and there were even holes in many places. The sparse fabric could barely cover his crucial parts. No need to drive him away. Bane raised a hand to stop the troglodyte who was about to drive the man away. Please, I really need money. The hospital asks for too much money, the cost of treatment and the cost of the child who is about to be born. The middle-aged man's voice was trembling and somewhat hoarse. Where is your wife? Bane asked. So you agree to let me join your gang? The man's voice carried a hint of joy. Right here. Right here. He immediately stood up and led Bane and his 3 subordinates into the dilapidated wall-mounted room next door. However, when Bane and the others walked in, they found that there was only a decomposed corpse lying on the sofa, with even the stark white bones visible within. A rotten stench permeated the air, making the troglodyte and Birdman behind them almost vomit. This is my wife, Yulia, and our child is about to be born. The middle-aged man held the already decomposed corpse of his pregnant wife. His eyes were bloodshot, his face sallow, and he wore an expression of hope. They all say Yulia is dead, but what do those fools know? The doctors in the hospital also said Yulia just had a strange illness, but in reality, she's just sick. As long as we raise enough money for Yulia to get treatment, she'll definitely get better. She'll definitely get better. As Batman's antagonist, Bane is one of those rare individuals who possesses both strength and intelligence. After all, if God opens one door for him, he will inevitably close another's. If he also opens a window for him, then the other person will be completely blocked off. Just like the middle-aged man in front of him, he was like someone for whom God had closed the door and even shut the window. Not only did he have no money, but he also lost his wife and children. No matter what I do, as long as it makes me money to save her, that's all that matters, she's just sick. The middle-aged man pleaded bitterly, looking at Bane with a glimmer of hope in his eyes. But God had already closed his door and window, and Bane couldn't say much more. What he could do was very limited. He could only send the man to meet God, to let him question God why he was treated this way. Bang! With a dull thud, the middle-aged man fell to the ground. He had left this cruel and fool world forever. A few minutes later, several people walked out of the hanging house. Looking at the dark slum, Bane, who had been out of prison for a long time, fell into a deathly silence for the first time. At that time, he walked out of the Cuban prison, looked at the world at dawn, and his chest swelled with emotion. And at this moment, he walked out of the slum, looked at the dark Gotham, and felt a mix of emotions. This moment, just like that moment. Gotham shouldn't be like this, and neither should God. The scene returns to Lan Chi. Tai Chi was still hypnotizing the girl possessed by the demon. But it was clear that the demon wasn't falling for it. With just a slight shake, his consciousness blurred for an instant, and he appeared in front of Tai Chi. Then a big slap landed on Tai Chi's face. The immense force directly reddened half of Tai Chi's face and even visibly swelled it up. Tai Chi stared blankly at the monster in front of him, without a trace of fear, only the bewilderment caused by the big slap. Do you know how much damage a big slap can do to a mental patient? He clutched half of his face, instantly enraged. If you don't compensate me with a few tens of thousands of dollars today, I'm not done with you. Seeing this, Lan Chi immediately rushed forward and pulled Tai Chi, who was about to extort the demon. Forget it, everyone is not used to it, not used to it. Shit. You fooled mental patient, do you know what you're facing? The demon was sprawled on the ground in a twisted posture, like a spider, looking incredibly creepy. Chaz felt his scalp tingle at the sight. I'm going to eat you too, and drag the souls of you two mental patients to hell. After speaking, he suddenly rushed towards Lan Chi and Tai Chi. Only. Bang! Constantine suddenly took a silver lighter and slammed it hard into the demon's face. Sizzle sizzle sizzle. As if a few drops of water had fallen into a hot oil pan, the demon's face was instantly scalded by the silver cross. Ah! Constantine, you fool, I will drag your soul to hell and make you watch that girl named Mary cry eternally. Constantine paused, then clenched his fist and swung it hard again. Seeing this, Lan Chi immediately seized the opportunity, preparing to take advantage of the demon's weakness to end its life. Lan Chi. Activate. Generally speaking, Lan Chi can directly reduce a person's IQ and EQ to that of an 8-year-old. Only. This thing isn't human, it's a fool demon. So Lan Chi's Lan Chi was completely useless, unless it was upgraded. Seeing that the demon's head hadn't become pointed and its eyes were still fierce, Lan Chi's scalp suddenly tingled. Why isn't it working? Does it need an upgrade? A light screen suddenly appeared before his eyes. Seeing the restriction that it only worked on humans and the explanation that it could affect other creatures after upgrading, Lan Chi couldn't help but give a middle finger. Motherfool, is this a stupid system? A bug skill actually has such a restriction. The demon opposite didn't think so. Seeing the middle finger Lan Chi raised, its twisted face immediately became even more ferocious and terrifying. You dare to provoke me, old man. When I drag your two souls to hell, I'll let the great dick demon serve you well. He said, dodging Constantine's punches. At the same time, he swung his arm, delivering a heavy punch to Constantine's head. Bang! The punch, carrying immense power, caused Constantine's head to bleed. Constantine gritted his teeth, holding the silver lighter, and struck at the demon. Bang! Another punch. The demon slammed hard into his head, knocking the exorcist to the ground. Ha ha. Constantine, Mary is waiting for you in hell. The demon's voice was filled with mockery and malice. After speaking, he continuously swung his arms, slamming them heavily onto Constantine's body. There was no magic, no ritual, purely a physical confrontation. The demon directly smashed this master exorcist until he vomited blood. Run, Constantine. His friend Chaz's voice echoed in his ears. Yes, why don't I run? Constantine, you used to run away. When you encountered a problem you couldn't solve, you were the first to run. But why aren't you running now? Punches like cannonballs continuously slammed into Constantine's body. Even if this great magician wanted to raise his hand to block, it was still useless. Those rituals that were always effective in the past had no materials to perform, and those exorcism tools had long since been used up. Of course, it's more likely that this exorcist master had simply forgotten about them. Otherwise, with his trickery and strength, he wouldn't have fallen to such a state. Constantine, when you messed with us demons of hell, you were mighty and awe-inspiring, why are you not moving now? The demon suddenly stepped on Constantine's body, a mocking smile on its face. How does it feel to be beaten half to death by a demon? How does this feel? Constantine ignored him, he struggled to stand up, wanting to escape. But he despairingly found that his right leg had been broken by the demon. He looked at the demon behind him, who was sneering, his face full of self-mockery. How ironic. The exorcist who had tricked both heaven and hell would actually die at the hands of such a demon. Chaz's shouts continued to ring in his ears. This unreliable friend had now become Constantine's savior. He suddenly rushed over, embracing the terrifying demon. But the demon's strength was immense. Constantine watched helplessly as Chaz was grabbed by the neck by the demon and thrown several meters away like trash. Then he hit the ground heavily, tumbling repeatedly, and finally lay motionless. Hey! He let out a bitter laugh, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Intense pain spread throughout his body. Fracture. Or internal organ damage. He could no longer distinguish what kind of injury was causing this pain. He calmly watched as the demon turned and walked towards him step by step. His entire past life seemed to appear before his eyes. Hey, his past life. That fooled and pathetic past life. How could he ever forget that painful past life? His childhood dream of football, his teenage years of being abused by his father, his treatment journey through various mental hospitals. The painful memories of becoming an exorcist, and that Mary, the 7-year-old girl who died in front of him despite his constant attempts to escape. Constantine laughed at himself. Too many people had died in front of him, so many that he couldn't even count them. But he just couldn't forget that girl. Perhaps dying here, his soul eternally fooled to hell, could also be considered an ending. The ending belonging to John Constantine. After all, he had caused so many deaths. His mother, his sister, his brother who died in the womb, and his father. Hey, magic, you fooled and charming thing. The demon lifted Constantine's head with one hand, the mockery on its face growing more intense. When I came, they said you were one of the most powerful magicians on earth, but I didn't expect you to be nothing more than this. Constantine, say goodbye to this world. The large palm squeezed his head, as if it could crush it at any moment. Your soul will be tormented by us forever, without rest. However, man, the sound instantly resounded throughout the entire world. Like a saint's prayer, or a god's creation. Constantine's body fell limply to the ground. For the first time in his life, he didn't run, nor did he use rituals or magic. You fooled mental patient. I'm going to eat you. Like a thunderclap from a clear sky, the demon's voice shrieked. Black mist even spread, stirring up a fierce wind. The dark smoke immediately diffused with the strong wind, enveloping the man and the demon. Boom! A huge scream suddenly erupted from within the black mist. This scream was extremely unpleasant. As if a woman was standing there, screaming like Donald Duck. The booming sound even made Constantine, the great exorcist, frown and cover his ears. The wind howled. The thick black mist in the air also slowly diffused, being blown away by the hurricane. After a full 2 or 3 seconds, the black mist was blown into strips and wisps, spreading towards the surrounding blood-red space. And seeing the scene in the black mist, Constantine's eyes widened instantly, his face filled with disbelief. He saw a dark figure standing in the black mist. The Batman symbol on his chest was like an angel of death, and the dark cape behind him twisted like a dragon, swaying with the black mist and strong wind. Crack. As the black figure flicked away the demon's large hand, the metal armor also made a crisp sound. An intense sense of oppression, as if tangible, spread from him, enveloping the demon in front. Lan Chi. Kill that demon. Ow. That slap was heavier than my mom's. My mom never hit me like that. Tai Chi's voice rang in Lan Chi's ear. He didn't respond to the other party, only when the demon had just choked his neck, preparing to pull out his soul. Lan Chi suddenly found that he was not so energetic anymore. Looking at the demon with its distorted face, he suddenly raised his head, his usually wise eyes suddenly becoming calm and fierce. Demon causing havoc in the human world, daring to try and kill me, but that's impossible. Suddenly, the dark figure, like an angel of death, stepped forward. Seeing the mental patient in front of him, radiating a powerful aura, the demon's heart tightened. What in the world was wrong with this guy? Just now, he only wanted to extract the other party's soul, and then this happened. This made him feel like he was having a particularly unlucky day. He was supposedly a great demon in hell, so why did a random mental patient he encountered have such an oppressive aura? Lan Chi calmly looked at the demon in front of him and raised his arm. With just a slight extension of his hand, the spirit attached to the girl's body was seized by him. How is this possible? Feeling his spirit being held in Lan Chi's hand, the demon was instantly stunned, an incredulous expression on its face. Why doesn't my magic work on you? I can't even contact my main body. The demon's voice was tinged with panic. His spirit had actually been directly pulled out by this person. Even the surrounding blood-red space had returned to its original appearance. The incessant rain beat down on the Batman armor, a chilling sensation flowing down the metal armor. Lan Chi, who had returned to normal for a while, was unlike his usual self. His eyes were extremely cold, filled with killing intent. You die. Because I am Batman. He suddenly exerted force with both hands, like giant iron tongs, gripping the demon's spirit tightly. Rip. As if tearing a piece of cloth, the demon's dark spirit was instantly torn in half. The two halves of the spirit suddenly began to slowly fade and dissipate into the air. On the torn face, an expression of disbelief still remained. Why did this happen? Because I am Batman. Thanks for watching.